Chapter 1105. If the spirit guards had not blocked the opportunity to enter the abyss world, Miao Zhenshan would not have agreed to Zheng Kaiyuan no matter what. It would be too conspicuous for the Miao family to send two Emperor stage experts to help the Zheng family. Even the Miao family's act of openly helping other forces in the Blood Oath extreme battle would cause discussion and dissatisfaction among the major forces. That would affect the Miao family's influence and reputation. However, the Miao family did need Zheng Kaiyuan's help with something. They wanted to use Zheng Kaiyuan's relationship with Lin Yuan to build a connection with him. Miao Zhenshan took a deep breath and said, "I will inform old Lu, but when you visit the Moon Empress disciple, you can't just bring along your master, Miao Qi. You have to bring Miao He and Miao Zhuo as well. Let Miao Zhuo apologize to the Moon Empress disciple." Upon hearing that, Zheng Kaiyuan's eyes flickered. He knew that his grandfather was trying to create an opportunity for Miao He and Lin Yuan to interact. Mentioning Miao Zhuo was just an excuse. Zheng Kaiyuan felt that if he were in Lin Yuan's shoes, he would not care about Miao Zhuo's apology. However, now that he had borrowed Elder Lu, Zheng Kaiyuan could not say it even if he was unwilling. Zheng Kaiyuan reluctantly agreed and immediately got up to leave. What Zheng Kaiyuan didn't know was that the moment he turned around, Miao Zhenshan no longer looked at his back with annoyance. Instead, a faint killing intent appeared. Almost all the major factions in the Radiance Federation knew that the veteran faction, the Zheng family, had launched a Blood Oath extreme duel against Sky City. Sun Ningxiang had naturally heard the news too. Unlike Zhong Zhe, Gu Lang, Long Tao, Gao Feng, Li Xian, and the others, Sun Ningxiang knew Lin Yuan's identity as the Sky City Lord. Sun Ningxiang thought to herself as she recalled the rumors between the Miao and Zheng families. The Miao family really brought this upon themselves. Why did they have to take the initiative to kick an immovable iron plate? Sun Ningxiang said to Tao Yao, who was beside her. "Tao Yao, go and find out who the Miao family sent to participate in the Blood Oath duel between the Zheng family and Sky City." Before Tao Yao could respond, Sun Ningxiang hurriedly shook her head and corrected herself. "Forget it, Peach Demon, there's no need to investigate anymore. Cancel the plan to visit Grandma for the next few days. Let's stay in the capital for a few more days. The day after tomorrow, I'll bring you and Xinghua to the Polar Arena to watch the Blood Oath battle between Sky City and the Zheng family. You can cheer for Sky City." Tao Yao nodded, but there was still a trace of worry on her face. Sky City and Du Immortal Garden had a cooperative relationship. Now that Sky City was suddenly going to engage in a Blood Oath extreme battle with the Zheng family, the Peach Demons were afraid that Sky City would suffer a loss. Although the Miao family had always looked down on the Zheng family, the Miao family and the Zheng family were in-laws. At this critical moment, the Miao family would most likely help the Zheng family. The Peach Demon was not surprised to hear that her mistress wanted to bring her and Xinghua to cheer on the Sky City. However, the Peach Demon clearly did not understand Sun Ningxiang's true intentions. On one hand, Sun Ningxiang was indeed going to cheer for Lin Yuan. On the other hand, he was also there to watch the downfall of the Zheng family and the Miao family become a joke. After discussing the development of Sky City's Star Web faction territory with Wenyu, Lin Yuan returned to his room. He did not care about the Blood Oath battle with the Zheng clan at all. This was because Lin Yuan still had a lot of things to do. The 9 infant elemental shellfish that he had just obtained from Fan Jinni were still waiting for him to induce their mutation. The Heavenly Maiden grade elemental pearls produced by the elemental shellfish were Lin Yuan's main source of resources. Lin Yuan currently had 3 scorching elemental shellfish, 3 celestine elemental shellfish, 5 aquamarine elemental shellfish, and 2 thick earth elemental shellfish. Lin Yuan had carefully considered the ratio of the elemental shellfish before distributing them. Now that Lin Yuan had obtained 9 more elemental shellfish, he naturally needed to consider how to distribute the 9 infant elemental shellfish. However, this time, Lin Yuan did not intend to consider it as carefully as the previous time. The previous distribution had already allowed the ratio of the elemental shellfish to meet Lin Yuan's expectations. To put it bluntly, the Heavenly Maiden grade elemental pearls provided by the 13 elemental shellfish were already enough for Lin Yuan. The 9 infant elemental shellfish were just to increase Lin Yuan's production of the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls. Therefore, Lin Yuan planned to distribute them evenly, with 2 for each element. As for the remaining infant elemental shellfish, Lin Yuan planned to nurture 1 more aquamarine elemental shellfish. The production of the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls would directly determine Blue Pearl's strength. Compared to hoarding resources, increasing the strength of his phase was more important. Lin Yuan's arrangements in the dimensional world and the increase of the power of faith in his body required Blue Pearl's water of faith. Lin Yuan was now very familiar with inducing the infant elemental shellfish to mutate. Soon enough, Lin Yuan successfully induced the 9 infant elemental shellfish. In the following period of time, Lin Yuan constantly increased the grade and quality of these elemental shellfish. These 9 elemental shellfish that he had just induced to mutate were all upgraded to bronze/legend. Now, Lin Yuan had nurtured 22 elemental shellfish of various elements in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Among them, there were 5 scorching elemental shellfish, 5 celestine elemental shellfish, 8 aquamarine elemental shellfish, and 4 thick earth elemental shellfish. When Lin Yuan saw the elemental shellfish constantly absorbing the pure spirit qi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone to produce elemental pearls, he revealed a smile. This time, he would never lack elemental pearls again. Even if there was a problem with the Spirit Lock spatial zone and his elemental pearls were depleted, the 22 heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls produced by the elemental shellfish of various elements would be enough for Lin Yuan to face most of the problems. Previously, Lin Yuan thought that the 22 elemental shellfish of various elements would allow the Spirit Lock spatial zone's spirit qi utilization to reach 95% or above. This also meant that 95% of the spirit qi transformed by the spirit pool through breaking down the energy ores would be immediately consumed. In fact, Lin Yuan wasn't wrong. Now that Gray had hatched from its eggshell, it didn't need to absorb pure spirit qi like before. This meant that the Spirit Lock spatial zone had 1 less spirit qi consumer. After some investigation and calculations, Lin Yuan estimated that the Spirit Lock spatial zone's spirit qi utilization rate should be around 80%. The remaining 20% could be distributed to the 5 dark crystal beetles that were about to be delivered by the Brahma insect cage. These dark crystal beetles would also have sufficient spirit qi to absorb. Immediately after, Lin Yuan took out the remaining 519 spirit qi crystals and prepared to continue enhancing his phase. After Genius and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee were enhanced, Lin Yuan could only use the spirit qi crystals to enhance Chimey, Jasmine Lily, Blackie, Purple Cloud, and the Source Sand. End of this chapter. Chapter 1106. Lin Yuan naturally wanted to improve the Source Sand's strength first. Lin Yuan let the amber button-shaped source sand on his sleeves turn into a quicksand vortex under his feet. He then threw spirit qi crystals one after another into the quicksand vortex. The source sand's strength also constantly increased with the consumption of the spirit qi crystals. When Lin Yuan threw the 209th spirit qi crystal into the quicksand vortex, the source sand successfully upgraded to Diamond Eye/Fantasy 2. The quicksand vortex in front of Lin Yuan set off a sand flow that intertwined in the air. These sand flows were all formed by the guard sand, which was also the most flexible part of the source sand. Lin Yuan looked over and found that the guard sand had changed greatly. If the guard sand was previously a sand grain with a clearer color, then the current guard sand had turned into nearly transparent crystals. These crystals did not have any color, but they seemed to be able to contain any metal spiritual ingredients. For example, if a metal spirit material was thrown into the guard sand would be able to extract the characteristics of the metal spirit material through the extraction. Although the quicksand vortex did not expand under Lin Yuan's control, the sinking force of the quicksand vortex was 1,000 times stronger than before. The current quicksand vortex could bury an ordinary Diamond X Fey in a matter of minutes. The Diamond Eye/Fantasy 2 source sand still focused on its control ability. Its attack ability could only be considered a younger brother compared to its control ability. However, if a life form trapped in the sea of sand sank 300 meters underground, it would not be able to easily survive under the huge pressure from all directions. Moreover, the Sea of Sand still had a killer move that came with exclusive skills. At that moment, the Source Sand had sent a request to Lin Yuan. It was requesting Lin Yuan to choose an exclusive skill and enhance it. As a special Source-type life form, the Source Sand was different from ordinary Source-type life forms and phase. After the Source Sand's grade increased, it would not have a new grade. Instead, it needed to choose to enhance any of the Metal Consume Manifestation and Gravel Spirit Acceptance exclusive skills. This time, Lin Yuan still gave up on enhancing the Source Sand's exclusive skill, Gravel Spirit Acceptance. He chose to give up on enhancing the Source Sand's Metal Consume Manifestation, which had obtained 2 exclusive skill enhancements after evolving from Gold to Diamond. One of the 2 opportunities was to increase the metal type that Metal Consume Manifestation could devour. One of the opportunities was to increase the exclusive skill Metal Consume Manifestation, which allowed the metal to transform into a shape. At this point, the Source Sand's evolution was completed. However, he didn't immediately enhance the other phase. Instead, he continued to issue commands to the Source Sand. It made the Source Sand spit out all of the ferromanganese that it had swallowed earlier. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, the quicksand vortex continuously produced neatly shaped ferromanganese. As the Source Sand spat out the ferromanganese, Lin Yuan stored it into a platinum phase storage box in a short moment. Although ferromanganese's metallic characteristics were very suitable for the Source Sand, as the Source Sand's grade increased, the opponents it faced would become stronger. The bronze-grade spirit material ferromanganese was becoming less and less useful. Thus, if the Source Sand continued to consume ferromanganese, it would be a waste of the types of metals that the Source Sand's exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, could consume. Lin Yuan already had a plan for the Source Sand to devour after it evolved. Before this, Lin Yuan had already prepared the Metal Consume Manifestation metals that the Source Sand needed to reach Diamond grade. One of them was radium-uranium steel. Radium-uranium steel was a diamond metal, but it had the toughness that even Myth-Breed phase couldn't easily destroy. In addition to its sturdiness, the radium-uranium steel was also very sharp. When spirit craftsmen were carving some metals, they would often choose polished radium-uranium steel as the head of their carving knives. Therefore, Lin Yuan felt that it was most suitable to use radium-uranium steel to replace the ferromanganese chainsword. Although replacing ferromanganese with radium-uranium steel would cause the Source Sand's grains to lose their file-like sharpness, the Source Sand was not as sharp as a knife. However, the hardness of the radium-uranium steel also increased the strength of the gravel, making it more difficult for objects trapped in the Sea of Sand to break free. As the Source Sand devoured more types of metals, it could increase the offensive capabilities of the entire Sea of Sand through the addition of new metals. Lin Yuan took out the platinum Red Lotus Soft Gold, which he had asked Listen to collect for more than a month. Although the Red Lotus Soft Gold was a platinum metal, it was definitely rarer than a diamond metal. This was because the platinum Red Lotus Soft Gold could only be found in Class 5-dimensional rifts. It was considered a specialty of Class 5-dimensional rifts. In order to help Lin Yuan find these 10 cubic meters of Red Lotus Soft Gold, Listen had spent almost all of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce's income from selling luxury items. When the Red Lotus Soft Gold was held in his hand, it looked like a ball of soft liquid metal with a red halo on it. This liquid metal was between transparent and non-transparent. As the soft Red Lotus Soft Gold changed shape, the red halo on the surface would quickly flow. The flowing halo was like a red lotus blooming on the Red Lotus Soft Gold. This was how the Red Lotus Soft Gold got its name. The Red Lotus Soft Gold looked harmless in its soft state, but when the Red Lotus Soft Gold was stretched into a thin thread, the Red Lotus Soft Gold that was infused with spirit chi was the world's strongest piercing needle. After the Source Sand devoured the Red Lotus Soft Gold through its exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, it could precipitate the thread-like Red Lotus Soft Gold everywhere in the Sea of Sand at any time. The thread-like Red Lotus Soft Gold was a killer hidden in the Sea of Sand when it was infused with spirit chi. In the absence of spiritual energy, the The silk-like red lotus soft gold intertwined with each other to form a solid net that could continuously extend. It could cooperate with the sea of sand to attack or restrain. At the same time, the red lotus soft gold also had a strong corrosive and poisonous nature. When living things came into contact with the red lotus soft gold, the red lotus soft gold would leave scarlet lotus-like scars on the body. The red lotus scars were basically tiny rashes caused by the red lotus soft gold's toxins on the skin. The red lotus soft gold's toxins would cause the target to lose their rationality in the intense pain and act crazily. The toxins would also stimulate the tear glands, causing the target's eyes to shed tears uncontrollably and cause blurred vision. After the toxins infected the enemy target, it was likely to cause one of them to fall into madness and wantonly attack in the surroundings. When facing multiple enemies, it was the same as having an additional stupid teammate. After the source sand devoured a large amount of radium uranium steel, it also devoured 10 cubic meters of red lotus soft gold. Lin Yuan felt that the sand grains that had obtained a portion of the red lotus soft gold's characteristics would instantly scream in pain if someone with a firm will stepped on it. They would also shed inexplicable tears as though they were crying from fright. End of this chapter. Chapter 1107. Then, Lin Yuan used the last chance to enhance the source sand's exclusive skill. He still chose to enhance metal consume manifestation. However, this time, he chose to let the source sand memorize the shape of a type of metal. Lin Yuan let the source sand transform the red lotus soft gold into a metal thread with a triangular tip. This was the inspiration he got from the heart-penetrating iron line. The red lotus soft gold's thread could perfectly replace the heart-penetrating iron line. In other words, every thread formed by the red lotus soft gold was equivalent to a heart-penetrating iron line. With the red lotus soft gold's thread, the source sand's exclusive skill, sand spirit acceptance, could also accept a type of dimensional life form. Then Lin Yuan threw all the day and night spirit silver he had into the flows and vortex and let it devour it. During this period, Lin Yuan had accumulated a lot of day and night spirit silver, which was close to 50 cubic meters. The wings formed by the day and night spirit silver had always been Lin Yuan's main defensive method. After letting the source sand devour 50 cubic meters of day and night spirit silver, he could truly have unlimited wings. In battle, he could let the day and night spirit silver form wings to block in front of him, greatly increasing his defense. At the same time, the unlimited wings would also increase his speed and agility. Lin Yuan had finished dealing with the source sand's exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation. As for sand spirit acceptance, not only did Lin Yuan not deal with it, but he also let the source sand spit out the heart-penetrating iron line. However, Lin Yuan had no idea what dimensional life form was suitable for the source sand to use for sand spirit acceptance. Or rather, he had yet to find a suitable dimensional life form. Lin Yuan would have to work hard to find one in this aspect. Then, Lin Yuan used Morbius True Data to check on the source sand's Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye exclusive skill. Fey name: Source Sand, Amber Button. Fey species: Elemental/Sand, Fey grade. Diamond, 1/10. Fey type: Earth, Fey quality. Fantasy Eye exclusive skill: Frowny Face Sand Control. Increases the contractor's control over the source sand and reduces the consumption of spiritual power when controlling the source sand. Metal consume manifestation. It can absorb a type of metal into the source sand, allowing the source sand to possess the characteristics of swallowing metal. At the same time, it can quickly condense the metal in the sand, transforming it into a specified form. Radium uranium steel/chain sword. Day and night spirit silver/feather. Red lotus soft gold/triangular thread. Gravel spirit acceptance. The source sand can devour a fey or dimensional life form. The amount of devouring depends on the life form's energy and the complexity of the template. After looking at the source sand's attributes, Lin Yuan nodded. After some consideration, Lin Yuan decided to increase Blackie's grade as well. When Xiao Hei's grade increased, the might of his exclusive skill, Spirit Extract Burst, would also increase. At the same time, it would also increase the speed at which his Spirit Chi imprint accumulated Spirit Chi. With the consumption of Spirit Chi crystals, Blackie successfully advanced to the Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye level. Blackie, who had advanced to Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye, was nearly 100 meters long. Little Black, who was winding its way up, was filled with the confidence and majesty of a pure-blooded WM species Fae. After Blackie reached Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye, it discovered that the WM species bloodline in its body had changed. The pure WM species bloodline seemed to have activated something in it, and there were already faint signs of metamorphosis to a higher level. As Blackie's quality increased, it was very likely that it would be able to awaken the Master Dragon bloodline when it reached Fantasy V. It might even metamorphose into a true Master Dragon Fae when it became a myth breed. At that moment, Lin Yuan could not help but think of Mystic Moon in her true form. Looking at Blackie's 100-meter-long dragon body, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that Blackie and Mystic Moon seemed to be quite compatible. After having this thought, Lin Yuan hurriedly shook his head. What kind of strange thought was this? Could it be that he had awakened the matchmaker attribute? Moreover, it did not seem very good to think about such a problem with his elders. However, if Blackie's body continued to grow at this rate, it would not need to become an immortal. When it became a creation breed, its body would properly surpass Mystic Moon's. It was said that when high-grade dragons mated, they would not choose to transform into human form but into their true form. Lin Yuan, who had a picture in his mind, felt that this seemed a little difficult to deal with. After upgrading Blackie to Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye, Lin Yuan had less than 100 Spirit Chi crystals in his hands. After counting, Lin Yuan found that he only had 80 Spirit Chi crystals left. However, Lin Yuan still spent a total of 20 Spirit Chi crystals to upgrade Purple Sky from its original grade to Platinum Eye/Fantasy Eye. After enhancing Purple Sky, Lin Yuan completely stopped enhancing his phase. Lin Yuan was only left with 60 Spirit Chi crystals for emergency use. During the process of enhancing phase, Lin Yuan did not choose to enhance Chimey, not because he did not like it or because it was useless. It was mainly because Chimey had been staying on the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree after devouring the Luan phoenix species bloodline and evolving into a clear sound Luan sparrow. Under the influence of the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree, Chimey's bloodline faintly showed signs of mutation. Lin Yuan planned to wait for Chimey's bloodline to completely mutate before enhancing Chimey's grade. Lin Yuan, who had improved his phase overall standard, felt that even if he only controlled his phase to fight now, he would still not be able to defeat Zhong Zhe and Gu Lang. However, he would not be at a disadvantage against the younger generation of those top forces. After enhancing his phase, he set up the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Upon seeing the large empty area, Lin Yuan felt that he should bring Genius to pick another 50-100 questions beasts for Genius to nurture. Since Fatty Orange, which he had enhanced first, occupied half of the cat tree, there should be a few more cat trees in his Spirit Lock spatial zone. A large number of elemental shellfish entered the Spirit Lock spatial zone, increasing the Spirit Chi utilization rate of the Spirit Lock spatial zone. As such, there was quite a large empty space in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan planned to give this space to the 50-100 questions beasts and the incoming 100 questions beasts. After doing all this, Lin Yuan stretched his back and thought to himself, I don't think I need to nurture phase for the time being. Lin Yuan, who was wearing a light pine tree, looked at his own shadow. Lin Yuan looked at his shadow for a long time without saying anything. However, the void shadow fiend that Lin Yuan was staring at started to feel uneasy. The void shadow demon hiding in the shadows took the initiative to ask, Master, do you have any instructions? Lin Yuan replied with a chuckle, I don't have any instructions now. However, void shadow fiend, I think the two of us should have a good talk. End of this chapter. Chapter 1108. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Nihility, who had been a little creeped out by Lin Yuan's gaze, trembled for some reason. An indescribable feeling of fear arose in his heart. This fear did not come from the fact that the void shadow fiend was now under Lin Yuan's control and had to listen to his orders. Instead, it was an incomprehensible fear of the unknown. The Moon Empress' decision to give the Void Shadow Devil to Lin Yuan as a servant was not a spur-of-the-moment decision. When the Mother of Bloodbath had failed to protect Lin Yuan outside Indigo Azure City, the Moon Empress had decided to arrange for a powerful life form to protect him. The Void Shadow Devil was not just captured by the Moon Empress from the Abyss world. When the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift opened in the Radiance Federation, it was not open to the public. However, it was not that no one could enter the Abyss world through this Level 6 Abyssal Rift. During the period when the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift was sealed, the Majesties frequently entered and exited the Abyss world. The Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift would be made public because the various Majesties had suppressed all life forms above the myth breed within a radius of 10,000 miles of the Abyss world that was connected to the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift. Otherwise, given the dangers of the Abyss world, if a large number of the Radiance Federation's members settled in, the Abyss world would be a dangerous place. As long as they encountered a Level 11 Abyssal Demon, it would cause a large number of casualties. The Void Shadow Devil had been captured by the Moon Empress during the initial stages of the Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift's closure and had stayed by her side for quite some time. When the Void Shadow Fiends first entered the Origin world, they didn't know much about the Origin world. However, the Void Shadow Demon's intelligence was extremely high. Its intelligence was more than twice that of a normal person. Because of this, the Void Shadow Fiend's understanding of new things was extremely fast. Gradually, the Void Shadow Fiend had a good understanding of the situation in the main world. He knew that the living beings of the Origin world relied on spiritual energy to increase their strength. Furthermore, the amount of spirit chi in the air of the Origin world was relatively thin, unlike the dimensional world where every dimensional lifeform's body contained source energy. It was just that the amount was different. The higher the level of a dimensional lifeform, the more source-type power it contained. When the source-type power reached a certain level, it was enough to modify the body of a dimensional lifeform. Dimensional lifeforms would be fortunate enough to transform into apostles, becoming great creatures that could use the power of faith. This was because the creatures of the Origin world relied on spiritual chi to increase their strength, and pure spiritual chi was extremely rare. Therefore, the moment the Void Shadow Demon followed Lin Yuan into the Spirit Lock spatial zone, it was shocked by the spirit chi concentration inside. In that instant, the Void Shadow Demon knew that the youth he had given his soul and faith to wasn't simple at all. This made the Void Shadow Demon recall the obstruction when its power of faith had entered Lin Yuan's body. After recovering from the shock, the Void Shadow Devil's mind was filled with countless thoughts. This feeling of having its life in someone else's hands made the Void Shadow Demon feel uneasy. The demons of the Abyss world were filled with violence, lust, deception, and killing. The powerful Devil Apostle could rule over a territory. The demons that had yet to become believers were just toys in the hands of the Devil Apostles and could be disposed of at will. It was rumored that the famous Succubus Apostle Jules in the Abyss had a pair of white demonic wings on her back. Jules' power of faith was so strong that it could transform into the Origin Holy Body. The Origin Holy Body could allow the Apostle to transform into a human form, breaking away from the image of a demon. However, after transforming into the Origin Holy Body, the Apostle would still retain a portion of its original body structure. This portion of the body structure that was retained by the Origin Holy Body was the Apostle's most powerful weapon. After transforming into the Origin Holy Body, the Succubus Apostle Jules looked pure and holy, but her actions were extremely ruthless. Jules loved muscular demons, and whenever the Succubus Apostle Jules was happy or unhappy, she would always like to kill muscular male demons for fun. Therefore, the concept of a servant's life being taken at will was deeply implanted in the Void Shadow Devil's heart. The Void Shadow Devil was afraid that if Lin Yuan was unhappy or if it answered poorly, it would be judged. Ever since the Void Shadow Devil heard Lin Yuan's question, it had been thinking about how to answer Lin Yuan's question to please him. After pleasing Lin Yuan, it would be able to live more easily as a servant in the future. When Lin Yuan had been enhancing the phase, his gentleness and concern had deeply touched the Void Shadow Devil's heart. Born in the Abyss, the Void Shadow Devil had grown up with slaughter, and it had never hoped for anyone to care about it. However, up until now, the Void Shadow Devil had never felt the feeling of being cared for. Master, there is no need for you to talk to me. Your consciousness is my will. If you have any instructions, just give them to me. While speaking, the Void Shadow Devil had already left Lin Yuan's shadow and knelt in front of him. Its head was lowered, and its attitude was filled with fear and flattery. Lin Yuan raised his brows, not understanding why the Void Shadow Devil would be so respectful to him. In Lin Yuan's opinion, even if the Void Shadow Devil was loyal to him, there was no need for it to be so humble. Lin Yuan asked the Void Shadow Devil casually. Since you can become a Class 11 8-dimensional life form, you must have lived for many years, right? The Void Shadow Devil hurriedly replied. Master, I have experienced the Crimson Moon streak in the abyss 1,700 times since I gained sentience. While speaking, the Void Shadow Devil suddenly had a puzzled expression. The Void Shadow Devil felt that it had not only experienced the Crimson Moon streak 1,700 times. A few years before it was caught, the purple moon that always hung in the sky in the abyss suddenly disappeared. It was as if the purple moon had been sucked away from the sky. It was unknown where the purple moon in the abyss had gone. Without the purple moon, there would no longer be a Crimson Moon streak in the abyss. The Crimson Moon streak was the way the abyss kept track of the years. Every Crimson Moon streak was equivalent to 1.5 years in the main world. It seemed that if the Void Shadow Devil's age was calculated according to the main world's time, it should be around 2,250 years old now. The lifespan of the Abyss demons was extremely long, and the Void Shadow Devil could become a Class 11 8-dimensional life form in just over 2,000 years. Its talent should be considered relatively strong among the dimensional life forms. Void Shadow Devil, you have lived for so many years. I believe you should have your own name. The Void Shadow Devil hurriedly replied. Master, I used to live in a territory governed by a horned demon apostle. In the territory, any living being that has not become a believer or a favored believer is not worthy of having a name, so I have never had a name. End of this chapter. Chapter 1109. Lin Yuan secretly sighed at the cruelty of the Abyss world. At the same time, he also knew why the Void Shadow Demon was so respectful and flattering to him. This had a lot to do with the Void Shadow Demon's situation in the Abyss world. However, Lin Yuan had a doubt in his heart. The drinking glut snake vulture was only a Class 11 1-calamity dimensional life form, but it could be transformed into a favored believer by the Swamp World's apostles. The Void Shadow Demon's strength was undoubtedly much stronger than the drinking glut snake vulture. With such strength, the Void Shadow Demon could not even be a believer, right? The Abyss Shadow Demon was now Lin Yuan's servant, so Lin Yuan did not have to worry too much. He could just ask what he wanted to know. Void Shadow Demon, with your strength, you are more than enough to be a favored believer. Why aren't you even a believer? When the Void Shadow Demon heard this, he felt unwell. This was the question that the Void Shadow Demon had always been most unwilling to face. However, now that Lin Yuan had asked, the Void Shadow Demon had to answer. It had to be as detailed as possible. Master, the Abyss demons have always been strong and tall. Muscles, size, and scales are the charm of male demons. It's very difficult for a short, muscular, and scaled demon like me to attract the attention of the Lord Apostles in the Abyss world. I also don't dare to appear under the Lord Apostles' eyelids. Every time the Lord Apostles go out, I have to hide in the shadows, afraid that I will dirty the Lord Apostles' eyes and be executed. Upon hearing the Void Shadow Demon's words, Lin Yuan was speechless. At the same time, he felt a little embarrassed. Wasn't this equivalent to exposing the Void Shadow Demon's scars? To be honest, Lin Yuan did not expect the Abyss demons to actually care so much about appearance. They cared about appearance in such a special way. It turned out that the larger the body and the more bulging the muscles of the male demons, the more attractive they were. On the contrary, in Lin Yuan's opinion, the Void Shadow Demon's figure was more pleasing to the eye than those huge Horn Terror demons and Bone Terror demons. The Void Shadow Demon's well-proportioned figure was undoubtedly more human-like. Lin Yuan reached out to support the Void Shadow Demon and prepared to help it up from the ground. Upon seeing Lin Yuan reach out to it, the Void Shadow Demon hurriedly released all its strength and let Lin Yuan play with its body as he pleased. It was afraid that its strength would go against Lin Yuan's strength and make him feel that it was resisting. Moreover, the Void Shadow Demon's heart was pounding. He wondered if his answer had angered Lin Yuan and was prepared to punish him. Immediately after, the Void Shadow Demon realized that Lin Yuan was actually trying to help it up from the ground. A strange emotion suddenly appeared in the Void Shadow Demon's heart. Before the Void Shadow Demon could express its gratitude, Lin Yuan said, "Thank you. Do you want your life level to transform?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Demon subconsciously nodded. Surprise and joy filled the Void Shadow Demon's face, making its ferocious face look a little silly. "Master, do you mean to accept me as a believer and transform me into one?" I sensed Master's control over the power of faith. So Master really is the apostle. Upon hearing the Void Shadow Devil's words, Lin Yuan rubbed his nose. What was this all about? He wasn't an apostle, but he could use source-type powers to baptize dimensional creatures and create apostles. Lin Yuan didn't explain the Void Shadow Demon's misunderstanding. Instead, he denied it. "I can't turn you into our apostle." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Void Shadow Devil felt as though it had fallen from the clouds to hell. The Void Shadow Devil had never thought that it could become an apostle. To be fortunate enough to become an apostle's believer was the Void Shadow Devil's lifelong pursuit. However, the Void Shadow Devil's guess and Lin Yuan's words gave the Void Shadow Devil hope and greed in that instant. Before the Void Shadow Devil could savor the taste of hope and greed, the hope and greed that had just been born was shattered by Lin Yuan's words. Even though it heard the sound of hope being shattered, the Void Shadow Devil didn't dare to show the slightest bit of disappointment. At that moment, the Void Shadow Devil heard Lin Yuan's words change. "Although I can't transform you into our apostle, I can make you an apostle." After saying that, Lin Yuan used the Imperial Princess Luo Kun's source-type powers and gathered 100 source-type powers in his palm. When the Void Shadow Demon heard the second half of the sentence, it could not believe its ears. It raised its head in a daze. Just as it was about to ask Lin Yuan if it had heard wrongly, the Abyss Shadow Demon's gaze focused on the pure source power emitting an amber luster in Lin Yuan's palm. When the Void Shadow Demon saw this pure source energy, it opened its mouth wide, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Immediately after, the Void Shadow Devil, which had just been helped up by Lin Yuan, felt its knees go soft again. It trembled as it knelt on the ground and spoke absent-mindedly. "Lord Sovereign." Upon hearing how the Void Shadow Demon addressed him, Lin Yuan immediately realized that the Void Shadow Demon should know something that he had not come into contact with before. After all, his knowledge of the dimensional world came from a level 6 Medusa demon. The dimensional world of a level 6 Medusa demon was obviously incomparable to the dimensional world of a level 11 8th Tribulation Void Shadow Fiend. Even if the Swamp World and the Abyss World were not in the same dimension. If the Void Shadow Demon that was kneeling on the ground absent-mindedly was said to have fallen from the clouds to hell. At this moment, the Void Shadow Devil had climbed from hell to heaven above the clouds. In the past, the Void Shadow Devil did not even dare to have extravagant hopes of becoming a favored believer. Naturally, it did not dare to have extravagant hopes of becoming an apostle. However, the pure source power flashing in Lin Yuan's hand could not be deceived. At this moment, the Void Shadow Devil had already determined in its heart that Lin Yuan was a sovereign. The Void Shadow Devil had not come into contact with a sovereign before, but it knew that the horned demon envoy that had previously ruled it was loyal to an Abyss Sovereign. Therefore, the Void Shadow Devil had heard of the Abyss Sovereign's power. Although the Void Shadow Devil had not heard that the Abyss Sovereign could directly promote an ordinary demon to an apostle, it had heard that the Abyss Sovereign had indeed grasped pure source power. In the Void Shadow Devil's understanding, only the Abyss Sovereign that ruled over the apostles could directly transform an ordinary demon into an apostle. Lin Yuan remembered the term, sovereign, that the Void Shadow Devil mentioned in his heart. A life form at the level of a sovereign was obviously not something that he could come into contact with at present. The Void Shadow Devil's current power had already reached the limit of a creation breed. Presumably, the Abyss Sovereign's strength was at least an immortal breed existence. For the current Lin Yuan, this level of power was an existence that he could only look up to. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:10. Since he could scare a Void Shadow Fiend with his strength, it was very likely that he would be recognized as a ruler by other dimensional creatures when he used pure Source-type power in the Abyss. In fact, Lin Yuan had thought of letting Genius use its exclusive skill, Interconnected Tail, on the Void Shadow Fiend. Through the Interconnection Tail, he gained a deeper understanding of the Abyss world by understanding the knowledge in the mind of the Void Shadow Fiend. However, when Genius used the Interconnected Tail on the Class 6 Medusa Demon-Scaled Concubine, even if the Lin concubine did not resist and was in a completely obedient state. Even so, it still caused quite a bit of pressure on the soul of Genius. At that time, Lin Yuan knew that when the interconnection tail connected to a powerful life form, even if the powerful life form had no intention of resisting, it would still cause a burden on the intelligent soul. When Genius used the interconnected tail on the Class 6 Medusa, it was only a Silver Eye/Fantasy Eye Fae. But now that Genius had advanced to Diamond Eye/Fantasy Eye, its strength had taken a qualitative leap. But to a level 11 8th Tribulation Void Shadow Fiend, it was still far from enough. However, now that Genius was using the interconnection tail to connect to the Class 6 Medusa Demon, Lin Ji, it would be abnormally easy. Her soul wouldn't feel any pressure either. At this time, the Void Shadow Demon, who had regained his senses, banged his head on the ground. Lord Juggernaut, I want to become an apostle. The Void Shadow Demon's body trembled faintly under the impact of the huge surprise, but his words were incomparably firm. There was even a hint of longing in his eyes. Lin Yuan looked at the Void Shadow Demon kneeling on the ground helplessly and hurriedly pulled it up from the ground. In the future, you don't have to kneel on the ground at my place. Since you're by my side and in my shadow, why don't I call you Ing from now on? Do you remember the mission I gave you before? I want you to protect Zhou Luo and everyone else during the Blood Oath Extreme Battle. If you can do it, after the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, I will let you transform into an apostle. The Nothingness Shadow Demon said firmly. Master, don't worry. I've already vaguely touched the threshold of a level 12 dimensional creature. When facing an enemy whose strength is equivalent to a level 11 fifth tribulation, I only need to hide in the target's shadow and end the enemy's life with one blow. Void Shadow Fiends don't have large bodies, nor do they have scales. Their defensive abilities are at the bottom of abyssal demons. However, even shield demons of the same level cannot defend against Void Shadow Fiends' attacks. After saying that, the Void Shadow Demon clenched its claws, and its sharp pitch-black nails flashed with a frightening cold light. To the Void Shadow Demon, this was the first mission that Lin Yuan had assigned to it, and it was also related to its future. The Void Shadow Demon planned to use all his strength to deal with this. Even though Lin Yuan did not say what would happen if he failed even such a mission, it would be a different story. Even if Lin Yuan forgave him, he would still use pure source power to baptize him and make him an apostle. The Void Shadow Demon was too embarrassed to accept it. Lin Yuan patted the Void Shadow Demon's shoulder and said, "Once you leave this place, do not mention anything about the Spirit Lock spatial zone to anyone. Go find Wen Yu and have her measure your figure. Ask her to make you a set of Sky City's uniform." After saying that, he handed a diamond face storage box and a mask to the Void Shadow Demon. This mask was the one that represented Sky City's identity. After the Void Shadow Demon borrowed the items, Lin Yuan left the Spirit Lock spatial zone with the Void Shadow Demon. Ever since the Night Ruler's assembly, Lin Yuan had never stopped working. The continuous matters made Lin Yuan feel physically and mentally exhausted. Before the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, Lin Yuan no longer planned to be busy with anything. For the next 2 days, Lin Yuan wanted to have a good rest and relax his body and mind. Tomorrow night, which was the night before the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, he would go to the Spirit Lock spatial zone to see how Red Thorn would transform after devouring the 2 source seeds and the seed with the immortal aura. After leaving the Spirit Lock spatial zone, The Void Shadow Demon immediately listened to Lin Yuan's instructions and went out to find Wen Yu to make clothes. Lin Yuan usually bathed in the shower, but this time he had a rare and comfortable soak in the bathtub. After the bath, Lin Yuan wrapped a towel around himself and lay on the bed, snoring loudly. In the middle of the night, a shadow sneaked in from the crack of the door and quietly blended into the shadow on Lin Yuan's bedsheet. The dancing shadow was like a guard guarding Lin Yuan's sleeping face. On the next day, Lin Yuan became a complete otaku. After waking up on time and eating breakfast, Lin Yuan returned to his room to sleep again. In the afternoon, he brought Genius out and leisurely chose another 50-100 questions beasts. Almost the entire Star Web was paying close attention to the Blood Oath extreme battle between Sky City and the Zheng family. Even some of the top forces were paying attention to this Blood Oath extreme battle because of the Miao family behind the Zheng family. However, Lin Yuan's side acted as though nothing had happened. It was as though the Zheng family's Blood Oath extreme battle tomorrow was not his faction. After returning to the mansion, Lin Yuan heard Lu Jie's voice. Lin Yuan, the Zheng family has changed the report of the Blood Oath fighters. The pressure you asked me to put on the Zheng family is effective. Apart from Han Tianhe, Lu Yenshan has also joined the Zheng family's Blood Oath extreme battle team. In terms of strength, Lu Yenshan is slightly stronger than Han Tianhe. As he spoke, a hint of schadenfreude appeared in Lu Jie's eyes. This was very rare for Lu Jie, who had always been steady. In Lu Jie's opinion, it was fine if the Zheng family was courting death. That was an accumulated enmity between the Zheng family and Sky City. Although the Miao family and Sky City had also had conflicts because of the Du Immortal Garden, there was no open conflict after all. Regardless of the reason, the Miao family head had asked Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan to take action. The head of the Miao family had clearly decided to destroy Sky Castle. Since Miao Zhenshan had the intention to kill, he had to pay the price for it. He did not know how Miao Zhenshan and the entire Miao family's beast creation garden would react after Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan died in the Blood Oath extreme battle. Previously, the Du Immortal Garden had been on the chopping block because of the internal conflict, and the Miao family had been on the chopping block. Now that the Miao family had lost 2 Emperor-class experts, how much more would they be on the chopping block? Upon hearing Lu Jie's words, Lin Yuan was rather excited. When Wen Yu had checked the Miao family's biography, there was information on Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan. Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan could be said to have contributed to the Miao family's development to this day. Although their surnames were not Miao, their combined contributions to the Miao family were not inferior to Miao Zhenshan's contributions to the Miao family. The Miao family would be in pain if such 2 people died. However, only pain would teach them a lesson. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:11. Thanks to True Data, Wendy's dimensional life form had been upgraded to Class 4. Her head was no longer as bald as before. Instead, it was covered with snake hair. A Medusa with snake hair would make people feel beautiful and ferocious at a glance. However, even if Wendy had snake hair, she still looked as soft and cute as before. When Shi Ting approached Lin Yuan, Wendy, who was a Medusa, turned into a small snake and burrowed into Lin Yuan's arms. Then, she turned into a human form and hugged him affectionately. Shi Ting also wanted to get closer to Lin Yuan and nudge him with his big head. However, when he thought about how Lin Yuan was not even as big as his head after his evolution, even if he nudged lightly, he might very well flip Lin Yuan over. Thinking of this, Shi Tang, who had been peeking his head and tail, dispelled the intimate action with Lin Yuan. Looking at Shi Tang, Lin Yuan could not help but click his tongue. The intensity of Shi Tang's power of faith did not increase much. After all, the improvement of an apostle's power of faith was not something that could be done overnight. However, Shi Tang's strength had increased by 1 level in a short time. It had increased from its original Class 6 to Class 7. Wasn't this strength improvement speed too terrifying? How did Shi Ting do it? What exactly happened in the swamp world during the time he was not there? While Lin Yuan was thinking, Wendy, who was in his arms, said softly, "Dad, I've absorbed half of the poison in the swamp world." "Dad, I've already absorbed half of the poison in the snake eagle's heart." "Dad, I've absorbed half of the poison in the swamp snake vulture's heart. The last time Father left the dimensional world, swamp water moss brought Wendy to the nest of the water-drinking snake vultures. Wendy rescued 29 Medusa aunties from the swamp snake vulture's nest. They're now following Mom to attract the marsh crocodiles at the edge of the swamp. Wendy doesn't intend to accept those Medusa aunties as believers. To Wendy, accepting predatory plants as believers is the best choice. Wendy left those Medusa aunties to Xiteng. In just a few days, the gathering of the Medusa demon aunties has attracted a lot of giant Medusa lizards. The Medusa monitor lizards attracted by the Medusa aunties have all been eaten by Xiteng. Wendy blinked her big eyes and seriously recounted what had happened in the swamp world during Lin Yuan's absence. Upon hearing Wendy's story, Lin Yuan could not help but be speechless for a moment. This was the reason Xiteng's rapid increase in strength. The giant Medusa lizards that instinctively followed the aura of the Medusa snake demon and rushed over to be a bootlicker were too pitiful. Was the behavior of these Medusa demons in his territory a scam? But this immortal dance was very good. Lin Yuan did not expect that there would be such benefits when so many Medusa demons gathered together. Medusa love, Medusa Medusa, 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 and Medusa Medusa Medusa, Medusa Medusa, and the Medusa, Medusa 2, Medusa, 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 and the class. Medusa Medusa, I and 1 die, Medusa, Yuta Medusa Demon, and Dong. The Medusa you Yao had you had, they had, Medusa, had, and you, Medas. As Xiteng had taken in the Medusas as his followers, which was beneficial to the construction of his territory. Lin Yuan was very supportive of this. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Wendy, who was in his arms, say softly, "Dad, Wendy doesn't have as many believers as Xiteng, but Wendy is still one step ahead of him. Xiteng only has one favored believer and 4 believers, but Wendy already has a second favored believer." Upon hearing Wendy's words, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that something was wrong. What kind of address was Dad? Lin Yuan did not think there was anything wrong with Wendy calling him Dad. However, Wendy had just called him Dad and the Class 6 Medusa scaled concubine Mum. Something was wrong. Wasn't this the same as forcefully pairing him with the scaled concubine? He wondered if the Lin concubine would agree. However, even if the Lin concubine agreed, Lin Yuan would not agree. Lin Yuan did not correct Wendy even though the words were at the tip of his tongue. A child's words carried no harm. Wendy called him father because he and Wendy had formed a contract. Wendy could feel a sense of closeness and peace of mind. In a child's world, the people closest to peace of mind were often their parents. Lin Yuan said as he rubbed Wendy's little head. At that moment, Lu Tong had already led 34 spirit craftsmen to stand neatly in front of Lin Yuan. These spirit craftsmen all looked tired, and it was unknown how long it had been since they had a good rest. Moreover, these spirit craftsmen were all covered in dust and looked very wretched. After all, building the building frame required digging up the black soil under their feet and measuring it in the pit. After all, building the building frame required digging up the black soil under their feet and measuring it in the pit. After all, building the building frame required digging up the black soil under their feet and measuring it in the pit. Lin Yuan looked at the 34 spirit craftsmen behind Lu Tong and said in a clear voice, "Everyone has worked hard during this period. The construction of the swamp world cannot be completed in a day. Rest well when it's time to rest." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, one of the spirit craftsmen replied, "Young master, is it convenient for you to bring Phase to this place? I want to sign a contract with a vitality sloth. With a vitality sloth, I don't need to delay my work because of sleeping." This spirit craftsman's words were quickly responded by many spirit craftsmen. Upon hearing the voices of these vitality sloths working hard, a warm current gushed out from Lin Yuan's heart. These spirit craftsmen had responded without asking anything after hearing that he was going to live in seclusion. Now, they were working hard for him. These spirit craftsmen belonged to Hu Quan's Heavenly Craft Pavilion, and Hu Quan was a member of Sky City. These spirit craftsmen also belonged to Sky City's subordinates. Lin Yuan had no reason to be stingy with these Sky City's subordinates who were working hard for him. After clearing his throat, Lin Yuan looked at everyone and said seriously, "If you want a vitality sloth, report to Lu Tong. If you want the vitality sloth, report it to Lu Tong. I will bring the vitality sloth to you very soon. In addition, I heard from Hu Quan that the 34 of you can contract new phase, and a few of you have comprehended willpower runes. You just haven't found a suitable Fey to contract. It just so happens that when you report the Vitality Sloth to Lu Tong, each of you can also report a Fey of any species. When I bring you the Vitality Sloth, each of you will obtain a Bronze/Epic Fey based on the Fey species you reported." Lin Yuan's voice was powerful and loud, exploding in the ears of the 34 spirit craftsmen. Chapter 11-12. To these Class 2 and Class 3 spirit craftsmen, Bronze/Epic Phase had always been extravagant hopes. Even after Hu Quan became a Class 4 spirit craftsman, he needed to take out all his savings to find a Bronze/Epic wood weaving house centipede. Moreover, if he wanted to obtain a Bronze/Epic wood weaving house centipede, he had to try his luck as much as possible. Only if one's luck was good would they be able to exchange for it. This showed how precious and rare Bronze/Epic Phase were to Class 2 and Class 3 spirit craftsmen. To be honest, these spirit craftsmen would work so hard for Lin Yuan. It was indeed related to Lin Yuan's promise previously, but it was not entirely because of Lin Yuan's promise. If it was really for benefits, these 34 spirit craftsmen would not have responded immediately after learning about the seclusion. Lin Yuan had mentioned a Bronze/Epic Fey previously, which made the 34 spirit craftsmen yearn for it. However, no one expected that in just a few days, their dreams would come true. Lin Yuan did not give ready-made Bronze/Epic Feys but allowed them to freely customize them. A custom-made Bronze/Epic Fey was different from a ready-made Bronze/Epic Fey. Based on Lin Yuan's words, it seemed like they would be able to obtain the custom-made Feys in 1 or 2 days. After these 2- and 3-star spirit craftsmen joined the Heavenly Craft Pavilion, they had been learning spirit craftsmanship skills from Hu Quan. There was no chance or time to learn more about Sky City. However, Lin Yuan's reward made the 34 spirit craftsmen clearly realize what kind of colossus the Sky City behind them was. He was actually able to nurture Bronze/Epic Phase in batches in just a few days. A gentleman would die for a bosom friend. There were very few people in the world who would sacrifice for no reason. You should always ask for something in return. These spirit craftsmen, who had just put in a lot of effort and were rewarded, were already full of vigor. He was prepared to be more diligent and use higher quality work to repay Lin Yuan. Lu Tong was a smart person. When he heard that Lin Yuan had rewarded 34 spirit craftsmen with Bronze/Epic Phase, he was the only one not mentioned. Lu Tong knew that there would be an even greater reward waiting for him. Sure enough, Lu Tong saw Lin Yuan turn to look at him. "Lu Tong, it's been hard on you to help manage it all this time. You relied on the Vitality Sloth to work day and night." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lu Tong's dry eyes could not help but become a little moist because he had not closed his eyes for a long time. Lu Tong knew that he was just a small character. In the past, when Lu Tong joined Hu Quan's team, other than diligently working and studying, he didn't seem to have much of a talent. He had been trying his best to leave a good impression on Hu Quan. Later, he had unexpectedly struck up a conversation with Lin Yuan at the back mountain of the Return from Faraway Manor. That was Lu Tong and Lin Yuan's first conversation. Lu Tong had never expected that the noble Lin Yuan would actually remember his name after listening to his self-introduction. This made Lu Tong feel a sense of respect. Since Lin Yuan remembered his name, it meant that he had placed him on an equal footing. Lin Yuan's sincere gratitude gave Lu Tong the feeling of a gentleman dying for a bosom friend. Just as Lu Tong was about to answer, he heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. "I remember the last time I spoke to you, you said that you comprehended a willpower rune 2 years ago, but you have not been able to contract a suitable Fey. In that case, when you are done counting the Bronze/Epic Feys that they need, report your own. I will provide you with a Bronze/Legend Fey according to your request. Work hard. I have high hopes for you." Lin Yuan's words exploded in Lu Tong's heart, making him feel as though the ground under his feet had become soft. Even though he had contracted the vitality sloth, Lu Tong was still mentally fatigued from working for a long time. He felt as though he was dreaming. Lin Yuan did not hide his special treatment for Lu Tong from the other spirit craftsmen. While this behavior allowed Lin Yuan to show off his muscles, it also told the other spirit craftsmen that hard work would yield results. After looking at the territory's environment that needed development, Lin Yuan said to Lu Tong and the spirit craftsmen behind him, "Everyone has contracted the vitality sloth. Everyone has contracted the vitality sloth. From now on, we only need to sleep for 2 to 3 hours a day. However, the remaining time cannot be used for work. You can divide an area in the territory and plant some of your favorite spirit fruits and good-looking spirit plants. Or dig a pond to raise some ornamental fish phase. This land is so big, and each of you can build a small house in the planned area. I will arrange for creation masters to be stationed in the breeding room that you worked through the night and set up a guard at the entrance. If you have any needs in the future, you can speak to the guard directly. The creation masters in the breeding room will help you with your development needs in the territory. Therefore, if you want to decorate the territory with spirit plants, delicious spirit fruits, and ornamental phase, you can speak to the guard directly. You will be in seclusion for a long time. During this period, if you can treat this place as your home, you might have a sense of belonging and identity with this place." Lin Yuan's reward was equivalent to giving these spirit craftsmen a goal and motivation to work hard. Now, Lin Yuan's words were equivalent to lighting up these spirit craftsmen's lives. Spirit craftsmen were a group of creative people. At that moment, these spirit craftsmen were already looking forward to the paradise that Lin Yuan had mentioned. After all, no one did not want to live in a paradise. What Lin Yuan had just said was actually what he had always thought and planned for the swamp world. As the swamp world continued to develop, his territory would also continue to expand. He would come into contact with more and more swamp world's local factions and even other federations that entered the swamp world through the Class 6 swamp dimensional rift. Only the strong would be respected. Therefore, his territory in the swamp world would only become colder and colder to outsiders. However, when it came to his own people, Lin Yuan hoped that they could live in a peaceful and stable paradise. After chatting with Lu Tong for a while, Lin Yuan and Wendy rode on Shiteng. Shiteng took Lin Yuan and Wendy toward the edge of the swamp. At the thought of his group of Medusa demons, it was very likely that they would trick a few Medusa monitor lizards for him. Shiteng's eyes lit up like a husky as it quickened its pace. Previously, when Lin Yuan was sitting on Shiteng's back, he could still see the black soil under Shiteng's feet. Now that Shiteng's grade had been promoted to Class 7, Lin Yuan's vision was blocked by Shiteng's wide back. Lin Yuan estimated that Shiteng's body length could reach at least an astonishing 45 meters. Chapter 11:13. However, the front and end of the tongue of Relinquish were very incompatible. The front end of the tongue of Relinquish was a purplish-green tongue tip that was nearly 30 centimeters long. Lin Yuan's pupils shrank when he saw the purplish-green tongue tip. He realized that the purplish-green tongue tip was covered with densely packed scars. These scars were the same as the scars that had appeared on Ji Feng and himself. The changes on the tongue of Relinquish must have been bestowed upon Red Thorn after it had devoured that strange plant seed. After the tongue of Relinquish emerged, a scene that made Lin Yuan's scalp tingle appeared. Even more fine cracks appeared on the mouth of Relinquish as it expanded even more violently. These cracks instantly opened, and 180 blinking eyes of Relinquish appeared on the surface of the mouth of Relinquish at the same time. Lin Yuan did not have trypophobia, but when he saw the 60 eyes of Relinquish on the mouth of Relinquish's surface, he still felt his hair stand on end. In particular, the eyeballs of the eyes of Relinquish would also move when it blinked. Looking at the 180 eyes of Relinquish would cause a deep discomfort in one's heart. However, when Lin Yuan saw these 180 sinister eyes of Relinquish, he was incomparably happy. After the mouth of Relinquish had split into 3, the eyes of Relinquish had also increased by 3 times. If Red Thorn wanted to start a battle with the 180 eyes of Relinquish, The consumption of the 180 eyes of relinquish would be enough for red thorn to instantly bloom with a sea of flowers within a radius of 18 kilometers. In addition to being able to store flesh energy to launch attacks, red thorn's eyes of relinquish was also its strongest attack method. The increase in the number of eyes of relinquish also indicated that red thorn's attack power would increase. Even if that was not the case, so many eyes of relinquish could also increase the speed at which the blood brew grapevines produced blood brew grapes, allowing the mother of bloodbath to quickly reach myth 3. At that moment, red thorn, which had been sleeping in midair, had quietly spread its body. Just when Lin Yuan thought that the mouth of relinquish's transformation was about to end, Lin Yuan saw a total of 36 red gill-shaped flowers quietly bloom in the center of the 3 mouths of relinquish that were surrounded by tough pipes. The 36 gill-shaped flowers, which were nearly 1 meter in diameter, spread out in 4 strange and magnificent flower walls in the center of the 3 mouths of relinquish. At the same time, 2 long vines grew out from the top of the flower wall. The 2 vines overlapped with each other and were covered with dark red flowers. As the vines swayed, it was like a dreamy swing surrounded by a sea of flowers. At this moment, Red Thorn opened its eyes. Red Thorn opened its eyes and looked straight at Lin Yuan. It didn't bother about the silver splendor and zither that were circling around it. A sweet voice came out of Red Thorn's mouth. Lin Yuan, Red Thorn has been sleeping for a long time. I can sense that Lin Yuan is always by Red Thorn's side. But Red Thorn can't wake up and can't touch Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan extended his finger and let Red Thorn land on his hand. Lin Yuan felt that Red Thorn had the aura of a royal sister and a queen, but he didn't expect Red Thorn's voice to be so sweet. Just like a little girl of 8 or 9 years old. After Red Thorn landed on Lin Yuan's fingertip, it shook its hair, and a dark green, glossy vine grew out of its hair. The smooth vines wrapped around Lin Yuan's wrist like before. However, Red Thorn was no longer the cumbersome predatory plant. It was now a fairy source-type life form with 3 pairs of wings. It was also the most noble existence among all the known fairies with their bloodlines. Just as Lin Yuan was about to reply to Red Thorn, he suddenly thought of something and thought, not good. It turned out that he had been neglecting the acid corrosion queen bee. When Red Thorn's mouth of relinquish had been metamorphosing, the acid corrosion queen bee had been in its hive. From the start of the metamorphosis, the mouth of relinquish had been completely sealed, and the acid corrosion queen bee had been locked in the mouth of relinquish. Now that Red Thorn had completed its metamorphosis, the acid corrosion queen bee had yet to come out of the mouth of relinquish. The acid corrosion queen bee couldn't have been digested by the mouth of relinquish, right? However, it was impossible. The acid corrosion queen bee was now a Diamond X source-type life form. It was impossible for the mouth of relinquish to digest it so easily. Lin Yuan hurriedly asked Red Thorn. Red Thorn, is the acid corrosion queen bee still in the mouth of relinquish? Upon hearing that, Red Thorn's cherry lips pouted gently and shook its small head. The acid corrosion queen bee isn't in the mouth of relinquish. I locked it in the spore cavity before it evolved. The spore cavity is now at the bottom of the plant and has been protected. Just as Red Thorn finished speaking, a few gluttonous vines that were 1/2 meter thick emerged from the ground and lifted Red Thorn's body. Only then did the acid corrosion queen bee escape from Red Thorn's spore cavity. After escaping, the acid corrosion queen bee pounced at Red Thorn like a bootlick. When the acid corrosion queen bee pounced in front of Red Thorn, Lin Yuan heard Red Thorn speak indifferently. Stay away from me. Your house has already been torn apart when the mouth of relinquish was evolving. Now, you can choose a mouth of relinquish and build a hive in it. If you perform well in the future, I might allow you to build another hive in the other 2 mouths of relinquish. I'll also open a channel connecting the 3 hives for you. Upon hearing Red Thorn speak to the acid corrosion queen bee, Lin Yuan was simply shocked. The voice that Red Thorn spoke to the acid corrosion queen bee was completely different from the voice that it spoke to him. When Red Thorn spoke to him, its voice was clear and sweet, but when it spoke to the acid corrosion queen bee, it was completely domineering. Moreover, its attitude was high and mighty, just like a queen giving orders to her subjects. Lin Yuan did not expect Red Thorn to actually be a big shot that could change its voice. This ability to change its voice was simply amazing. What Lin Yuan did not expect was that the acid corrosion queen bee was not upset by Red Thorn's cold treatment. Instead, it was happily flying in the air like a child. It was as though it was a great gift for Red Thorn to say a word to him. The acid corrosion queen bee was about to say goodbye to Lin Yuan and return to the mouth of Relinquish to build a new house for itself. However, just as the acid corrosion queen bee flew to Lin Yuan's shoulder, two spiky vines that were like spirit snakes quickly emerged from Red Thorn's long hair and attacked the acid corrosion queen bee. Upon seeing Red Thorn attack it, the acid corrosion queen bee did not dodge but took the hit excitedly. After being hit by Red Thorn's two vines, the acid corrosion queen bee seemed even happier. It stared at the vines that emerged from Red Thorn's hair as though it was looking at some treasure. Seeing this scene, Yinhua hurriedly brought Jin Sei to a stop. From Red Thorn's behavior, Yinhua could see its affection and possessiveness toward Lin Yuan. Red Thorn had just awakened, and it was obviously not a good time to establish a friendship with it. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:14. Looking at the turbulent swamp, Lin Yuan could be sure that the thing in the swamp would not be smaller than a newly hatched island whale. A newly hatched island whale was already 500 meters long. As it grew stronger, its body length would reach a shocking 3,000 meters. Immediately after, Lin Yuan saw hundreds of leafy branches protruding out of the water, causing the marsh crocodiles to be in chaos. The scaled concubine hurriedly increased the chanting speed of the swamp crocodile song, and only then did the swamp group calm down. He looked at the thick grayish-green branches full of twisted leaves in the depths of the swamp and used Morbius True Data. Exotic beast name: Water Demon Fu Lu, life form. Dimensional creature, Blessed Believer. Exotic beast level 4, totem faith. Triflower snake pupil totem innate skills frowny face excessive growth. With sufficient energy, it can grow branches without limit, and it can choose to cut off the overgrown branches. The energy within the branches will solidify and become stronger than the original body. Lin Yuan could not help but raise his eyebrows when he saw Water Demon Fu Lu's true data. Based on the swamp's turbulent range, Lin Yuan could infer that the water devil Fu Lu was very large. However, he could not detect its true size just by looking at its branches extending out of the swamp. The innate ability of Fu Lu Willow was completely determined by the size of its body. The bigger the water devil Fu Lu was, the higher the value of its innate talent, the higher the value of its talent. When the Fu Willow reached a certain size, it would be able to split its branches according to its innate talent. It could easily build a large infrastructure underwater with its branches. This opened up the situation for the territory's construction in the swamp. However, if the water demon supporting willow was small in size, its main branches would not be strong enough. It was something that was built by relying on one's innate talent. It could only be treated as an ordinary model. Not only was it worthless, but it was also equivalent to creating a huge pile of underwater trash within the territory. Just as he was about to jump into this dirty swamp filled with swamp crocodiles and see the water demon Fu Lu's true size with his own eyes, the Lin Ji could not help but say to Lin Yuan, "Sir, there's a special white swamp crocodile there that won't be controlled by my swamp crocodile song." Originally, this white swamp crocodile was attracted by the large amount of blood that my sisters and I poured into the swamp. But now, this pure white swamp crocodile realized that there was nothing left to eat and is preparing to leave. Following the direction of the scaled concubine's finger, Lin Yuan noticed a 7-meter-long pure white swamp crocodile. This swamp crocodile's white was not the milky white of an albino, but a pure white that looked very holy. There was a cold glimmer in the pure white, which made this swamp crocodile in the pure white swamp look extraordinarily majestic. Lin Yuan immediately used True Data to check on this pure white marsh crocodile. Exotic beast name: Swamp White Crocodile, life form. Dimensional creature, exotic beast level 2 level innate skills frowny face worship of crocodiles. Even if you openly steal other marsh crocodiles' food, you will not be attacked by other marsh crocodiles, and your aura will gain the other marsh crocodile's goodwill. Moreover, the more the marsh crocodiles sense your aura, the more goodwill they will have. The goodwill in their mouths will turn into worship, and you can attract a large number of marsh crocodiles. After checking, Lin Yuan was abnormally surprised. This pure white marsh crocodile was called the swamp white crocodile. Based on its name, Lin Yuan could confirm that the swamp white crocodile still belonged to the category of marsh crocodiles. However, in the main world's information about the swamp world, there was never any information about the swamp white crocodile. When Lin Yuan saw this 7-meter-long swamp white crocodile, he subconsciously thought that this swamp white crocodile was at least class 6. After all, a marsh crocodile's grade was usually determined by its body size. However, this swamp white crocodile was clearly only class 2 and considered a juvenile, but its body length was at least 7 meters. It was enough to imagine how massive the swamp white crocodile would be when it grew up. Including its tail, Shiteng's 40-meter-long body was already like a moving mountain of flesh. When this swamp white crocodile grew to class 7 like Shiteng, Lin Yuan estimated that its body length would be at least 100 meters. In fact, it would be even larger. Through checking true data, Lin Yuan also knew why this special class 2 swamp white crocodile would not be attacked by a huge group of swamp white crocodiles. High-grade swamp white crocodiles that were pregnant had an instinctive aversion to juvenile crocodiles that were not related to them by blood. They would habitually kill juvenile crocodiles to fight for a bigger living space for their offspring. Swamp white crocodiles were dimensional life forms that were very productive. It was impossible for such a huge group of crocodiles to not have any swamp white crocodiles that were pregnant. This swamp white crocodile would not be attacked by the crocodiles precisely because of its special talent and the swamp white crocodile's worship. From the moment Lin Yuan saw the swamp white crocodile's worship, he was certain that this swamp white crocodile must have an extraordinary origin. The swamp world was full of dangers, and hunting was often accompanied by risks. Therefore, dimensional life forms had the habit of protecting their food. The swamp white crocodile's worship didn't just rob other swamp white crocodiles' food, it would not be attacked. Even its aura would attract other swamp white crocodiles, causing them to have a favorable impression of it. In fact, after other swamp white crocodiles sensed its aura, their favorable impression of it would turn into worship. This exclusive skill allowed the swamp white crocodile to easily gather a group of swamp white crocodile guards in the swamp. Due to the faith provided by the swamp white crocodiles due to worship, it would naturally transform into an apostle. If a favored spirit was a life form that was favored by the main world, this swamp white crocodile could be said to be a life form that was favored by the swamp world. Lin Yuan naturally would not let such a dimensional life form escape for nothing. Lin Yuan said to the Lin concubine, who was waiting for him to make a decision. Lin concubine, continue singing the swamp white crocodile song. Immediately after, Lin Yuan instructed the void shadow demon in his shadow. Shadow, after you capture and play with the swamp white crocodile. Once the other swamp white crocodiles riot, kill them all. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, a shadow scuttled out of Lin Yuan's shadow. This shadow instantly dragged the swamp white crocodile, which was about to swim away, to the surface. The swamp white crocodile, which was about to struggle, was quickly wrapped up by the rapidly growing swamp water moss, and it was unable to move. At that moment, all the swamp white crocodiles in the swamp entered a frenzied state. The swamp white crocodile song sung by the Lin concubine no longer had any effect on these swamp white crocodiles. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:15. Fey name, Red Thorn, Six-Winged Demon, Thousand Eyes Sacrificial Offering, Spirit Species, Vine Subspecies/Fairy Species, Fey Grade, Silver, 1 out of 10, Fey Type, Source/Wood, Fey Quality, Fantasy V Skills Frowny Face Mouth of Relinquish, secretes an exuberant digestive fluid. The digestive fluid is extremely corrosive and can quickly digest the energy in food. The tongues of relinquish in the mouth increase the speed of digestion by several times and can secrete various acids from the flesh and blood that it has consumed. At the same time, when the 3 tongues of relinquish pierce into the target's body, They can choose to cut off the tongue tip and leave the tongue tip in the target's body. When the target is alive, the tongue tip can control the target's spirit and soul. When the target is dead, the tongue tip can control and activate the target's spirit and soul, allowing the target to remain alive. Carnivorous vines. Vines filled with digestive juices and sharp teeth growing on the inside of the vines can feed on flesh and blood energy by scraping. Eye of relinquish. An eye formed through the consumption of flesh energy. Every eye contains a large amount of flesh energy. When the number of eyes of relinquish on the mouth of relinquish is maintained below 60, the eyes of relinquish can only store energy. When the number of eyes of relinquish exceeds 60, the eyes of relinquish will not be stored on the mouth of relinquish and can be turned into an energy ray at any time. Exclusive skill frowny face spore proliferation. The spore cavity spits out a large number of spores. The spores can absorb the energy provided by red thorn or flesh energy to rapidly reproduce and grow child ramets and ramets that are controlled by the mother ramets. Withering red thorn could quickly absorb the energy from the ground and inject it into the sea of flowers. As long as the roots of child ramets and ramets were left in the ground, the withered sea of flowers would reach its most flourishing state. At a glance, Lin Yuan could not help but look shocked. Lin Yuan had never expected that red thorn's quality would actually reach Fantasy V in that strange plant seed. This was definitely a pleasant surprise for Lin Yuan. How to improve red thorn's quality had always been Lin Yuan's problem, but now, this problem had been quietly solved. After that, as long as red thorn kept devouring flesh and blood, it would be able to evolve into a myth breed. However, there would not be the slightest threshold between them. Now, red thorn was Lin Yuan's fei with the highest quality. At the same time, he finally knew what the purplish-green tip of the tongue of relinquish's tip was for. It seemed that red thorn had inherited the ability to control living things from that strange plant seed. Furthermore, the front part of the tongue of relinquish that was covered in scars could not only control living targets, but it could also control dead targets. Lin Yuan suddenly thought of Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, who would die at the hands of the Void Shadow Demon after the Blood Oath Extreme duel with the Zheng family tomorrow. Both of them were Emperor-class experts, and if Red Thorn could control them with its tongue of relinquish after their deaths, it would be much easier to kill them. Then, these two powerful Emperor stage experts would become his puppets. Lin Yuan's eyes immediately lit up. In this way, Sky City would have two more Emperor-level humanoid weapons. In the future, wherever there were difficulties and dangers, these two Emperor-level humanoid weapons would be sent there. After the Blood Oath Extreme battle was completed in the Extreme Arena, everything in the losing faction would be controlled by the other side. Therefore, it was easy for him to obtain Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's bodies. After the Zheng family was defeated, the bodies of Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, who represented the Zheng family in the battle, became the private property of Sky City. Even if the Miao family wanted to retrieve Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's bodies, there was nothing they could do. At the thought that the mouth of Relinquish only had 3 relinquished tongues, Lin Yuan asked Red Thorn. Red Thorn, does your tongue of relinquish have any restrictions on controlling the target? 3 relinquished tongues can only control 3 targets? Red Thorn answered. The tongue of relinquish controls the target by injecting the tip of the tongue of relinquish into the target's body. In other words, it's using the parasitic tip of the tongue to control the target's mind and soul. The stronger the spirit and soul of the living target, the harder it is for the tongue of relinquish to control it. There is also the possibility of failure. But if the target is dead and their spirit and soul have lost their activity, then no matter how strong the target was when they were alive, the tip of the tongue can guarantee 100% control. Based on the tongue's parasitism on the target's spirit and soul, it can also control the target's contracted fei. However, this kind of control has a premise. The premise is that the energy core in the target fei cannot be taken out. In the case of not taking out the energy core, the target can maintain its full strength when it was alive. But if the energy core is taken out, the target's strength can only be reflected in the physical body. Upon hearing Red Thorn's explanation, Lin Yuan clarified the contents of the mouth of relinquish that were not stated in detail in true data. If he wanted to maximize the effect of the tongue of relinquished's front end, Lin Yuan could not dig out the world crystals in Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's two main battle spirits. Otherwise, those two creation breed phase would only be left with their physical strength, and it would be meaningless to control them. Compared to the two world crystals, the two Emperor-class humanoid weapons were undoubtedly more tempting to Lin Yuan. It could be said that the ability that Red Thorn had obtained from devouring that strange plant seed had provided Sky City with 3 top experts. It had filled the vacancy of Sky City's experts. It also allowed the Swamp World, the Divine Wood Federation, and the Return from Faraway Manor to have experts guarding them at the same time. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Red Thorn continue to speak. Lin Yuan, although the front end of the tongue of relinquish can control experts, this control also has a drawback. That is, if the controlled expert is killed, the tip of his tongue will also be destroyed. For the tip of the tongue to regrow, it requires a huge amount of flesh and blood energy, and it will take a long time. Of course, there is a shortcut to let the tip of the tongue grow quickly. You just need to let me use the method of dropping grade to hasten the growth of the tongue of relinquish. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan hurriedly waved his hand. The advancement of Red Thorn's grade had always been Lin Yuan's biggest headache. Under such circumstances, how could Lin Yuan let Red Thorn use the method of dropping grade to hasten the growth of the tongue of relinquish? Moreover, Emperor-class experts were not so easy to be killed. Thinking of the enhancement direction that he had chosen for Red Thorn before it went into hibernation, Lin Yuan continued to ask. Red Thorn, when you metamorphosed, you enhanced your devouring and digestive abilities. How is it compared to before when you devoured the flesh of dimensional lifeforms? Red Thorn replied. I can now consume large amounts of Class 4-dimensional lifeforms' flesh that are comparable to Platinum phase. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:16. It wouldn't be a problem to occasionally eat some Class 5-dimensional lifeforms' flesh that were comparable to Diamond phase. Hee, Lin Yuan, the improvement of my devouring and digestive abilities isn't just reflected in devouring dimensional lifeforms' flesh. Not only can I devour the flesh and blood of dimensional creatures, but I can also devour metals and spiritual materials. Through digesting metal spirit materials, it obtains a trace of the metal spirit materials' characteristics and attaches this characteristic to the sea of flowers that it spawns. Lin Yuan's eyes flickered, and he immediately took out the ferromanganese that the source sand had spat out after evolving. He took out a piece of ferromanganese and placed it in the mouth of relinquish. In the end, he found that the ferromanganese had been completely corroded and digested by the mouth of relinquish's acid in less than 5 minutes. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan could not help but marvel at the mouth of relinquish's strong digestive ability. Lin Yuan handed a platinum phase storage box's ferromanganese to Red Thorn. Red Thorn, during this period of time, you can come and eat the ferromanganese here as you see fit. The ferromanganese's metallic properties can make the predator vine stronger, and it can also increase the predator vine's ability to scrape the target's flesh. Upon hearing that, Red Thorn happily accepted the platinum phase storage box that contained the ferromanganese. Red Thorn was a foodie that wasn't inferior to the princess. As long as it was edible, Red Thorn would like it. Red Thorn flew up and gently pecked Lin Yuan's cheek. Its eyes were pure as it said, "Don't worry. Lin Yuan, the increase in my digestive ability allows me to obtain more characteristics from dimensional lifeforms' flesh. Devouring the flesh and blood of different dimensional lifeforms can rapidly strengthen the acid secreted by the tongue of relinquish. In the future, Red Thorn won't be as picky as before. Red Thorn will eat whatever it wants." As it spoke, Red Thorn smacked its lips before continuing. Of course, it will be even better if Lin Yuan can let Red Thorn eat more abyssal demons. The flesh of a demon is the tightest among all dimensional creatures. Its blood has corrosive and withering characteristics. After devouring it, it can increase my lethality against plant species phase, and its corrosive properties can also make it easier for me to digest metallic spiritual ingredients. Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows when he heard that. She had specifically asked for the abyssal demon's flesh and blood, yet she said she wasn't picky. However, it was a piece of cake for Red Thorn to eat the Abyssal Devil's flesh. The Radiance Federation's Class 6 Abyss Dimensional Rift was about to open. Wouldn't it be easy to obtain Abyssal Demon flesh in the future? After staying in the Spirit Lock spatial zone for a while, Lin Yuan hugged Genius and fell asleep. After a dreamless night, Lin Yuan woke up before dawn the next morning. Lin Yuan sighed. I can't sleep too early either. If he slept too early, he would wake up too early. Seeing that the sky was still dark, Lin Yuan simply sat there and flipped through the biography of Zheng Kaiyan that Wen Yu had prepared for him. Reading Zheng Kaiyan's biography, Lin Yuan suddenly felt that being born in a veteran faction was not necessarily something to be proud of sometimes. He came from a humble background, and if he wanted to rise up in one day, he would be accompanied by many obstacles. However, he would never be held back by his family, or even suppressed or secretly harmed by them. Zheng Kaiyan was intelligent in his early years, but because of his family, he didn't even have the chance to resist and became a cripple. No wonder Zheng Kaiyan was willing to betray his family in order to make a comeback. As he looked at Zheng Kaiyan's biography, Lin Yuan somehow fell into it. At that moment, a knock came from his door. Lin Yuan looked up and suddenly realized that the sky was already bright. Lin Yuan stood up and casually threw Zheng Kaiyan's character journal down. People like Zheng Kaiyan can be used, but they can't be put in an important position. Based on Zheng Kaiyan's character and experience, he has long cultivated Zheng Kaiyan to be as cunning as a bay. If such a person is put in an important position, even if he swears loyalty with a willpower rune, it is very likely that he will have crooked thoughts for his own interests. Therefore, having Zheng Kaiyan guard the Zheng family's territory is already the limit. He had a lot of things to worry about and did not want to spend too much effort on Zheng Kaiyan. It could be said that after reading the biography, Lin Yuan already had an idea on how to treat Zheng Kaiyan. However, whether or not Zheng Kaiyan deserved such treatment would depend on his actual performance. He opened the door and saw Wen Yu, who was standing at the door, handing him 2 sets of spirit chi clothes. When Wen Yu saw Lin Yuan, she said with a smile, "Young master, Pinru and I just decided on the template for this Sky City uniform last night. We also stayed up late to make the Void Shadow Fiend. Both of you try it together." After saying that, Wen Yu handed the uniform made from the Sky City to Lin Yuan and closed the door. Looking at the uniform that Wen Yu handed over, Lin Yuan reached out and scratched his head. However, in a public occasion like the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, it was obviously the most suitable for everyone to wear the Sky City uniform together. Wen Yu had asked him for his opinion on the design of the Sky City uniform. He had casually mentioned the Akatsuki organization's Red Cloud uniform in his previous life. As a result, the Sky City uniform designed by Wen Yu and Lu Pinru was actually a Spirit Chi uniform with a white base and blue clouds embroidered on it. This uniform was designed to be very wide, and the hem could hang directly to the feet. The wide sleeves could completely cover the hands. The collar at the neck was raised high to the tip of the nose. The Sky City's mask would reveal the mouth and chin. If one wore this uniform, the collar and the mask could just cover the face completely. Only when the collar floated could the mouth hidden under the collar be faintly revealed. At the same time, although this uniform looked very wide, it was tailored just right. When designing everyone's uniform, Wen Yu and Lu Pinru had carefully measured the figure. The tailoring of the waist and shoulders made the entire hem have a handsome arc. It could be said that this uniform was very close to Lin Yuan's aesthetic. Lin Yuan found that his uniform was obviously different from the Void Shadow Fiend's. His blue cloud was embroidered with a circle of golden silk. At first, Lin Yuan did not intend to make the uniforms as special as the masks. However, at Wen Yu's insistence, he still embroidered a circle of golden jade silkworm silk. Under the sunlight, the golden jade silkworm silk gave the blue cloud a flowing texture. Lin Yuan called out the Void Shadow Fiend from his shadow and handed it the Sky City uniform that belonged to the Void Shadow Fiend. Thus, Lin Yuan and the Void Shadow Fiend put on the uniform and the mask respectively. After putting on the uniform, Lin Yuan looked at the Void Shadow Fiend and then at himself in the mirror. Lin Yuan felt that the Sky City's outfit was much more pretentious than the Akatsuki organization's. The light background color with the blue cloud did not look so abrupt. Button wishes everyone a happy Mid-Autumn National Day. Be careful when traveling during the holidays. The weather is turning cold, wear more clothes. Love you. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:17. If there were enough marsh crocodiles for the water demon Fuliu to eat. Fuliu the water demon could grow rapidly through its talent, and it could build a kingdom for humanoid swamp creatures to live in with its branches underwater. Unknowingly, one of Wendy's believers had opened up Lin Yuan's journey under the swamp. Before Lin Yuan could check the water demon Fuliu's body, he emerged from the swamp. Suddenly, two violent energy fluctuations came from the distance. These two violent energy fluctuations made Lin Yuan, who was unprepared underwater, choke on two mouthfuls of water. The water in the swamp world did not have any strange smell. At most, it was mixed with some of the marsh crocodile's earthy and rotten plant smell. It was not harmful to humans. On the contrary, if one looked closely, the humus-rich water also had a lot of nutrients. Drinking the swamp water was better for the human body than drinking mountain spring water. However, when he thought of the two halves of the marsh crocodiles and the swamp full of blood, Lin Yuan could not help but feel nauseous. However, Lin Yuan did not care so much. When he felt the strong smell of faith in the two fluctuations, his pupils suddenly constricted. Lin Yuan had just emerged from the water, and before he could reach the shore, the violent energy collision and power of faith fluctuation came again. The energy collision and power of faith fluctuation were much stronger than before. It seemed that the target of the energy collision and power of faith fluctuation was getting closer and closer to his location. This situation was very much like two apostles heading in his direction while exchanging blows. When the energy collision and power of faith fluctuation came for the third time, it was accompanied by a series of angry shouts. Bai Yan! You brought your son to my territory, so why would I attack your son behind your back? This angry female voice was very shrill and sharp. Lin Yuan could also faintly hear a trace of fear and dread in her words. Obviously, the woman who spoke was not Bai Yan's match. Following the woman's voice was an arrogant male voice. Scorpion Qian, my son is fine. Why would he leave my sight? Even if you did not send someone to attack my son, the living beings in your territory naturally have to pay the price for making my son disappear. After the male voice sounded, several more violent energy collisions came. Lin Yuan had already reached the shore. The moment the sky killer butterfly sensed the energy collision from afar, it arrived at the edge of the swamp. Upon seeing Lin Yuan come ashore, the slaughter sky butterfly said eagerly, Lin Yuan, the level of this energy fluctuation has obviously surpassed that of a creation seed. This territory is terrible. As it spoke, the predator butterfly's expression became more and more solemn, completely ignoring the feelings of the others present. Lin Yuan was Purple Firmament's contractor. If Lin Yuan died, Purple Firmament would die. No matter what, even if it had to risk its life, it had to ensure Lin Yuan's safety. The intensity of the energy fluctuations in the distance far exceeded that of the sky killer butterfly's strength by too much. Even if the slaughter sky butterfly was one of the three great butterfly species phase with supreme bloodlines, it had just become a creation breed. Because his injuries had not fully recovered, he had not even reached the sovereign king level. In the face of the hidden threat in the distance, the killer butterfly knew very well that it was powerless. Upon hearing the slaughter sky butterfly's words, Lin Yuan gritted his teeth and pondered. While Lin Yuan was pondering, the Medusa demons, including the scaled concubine, had ashen faces. Among the Medusa demons, the scaled concubine had been by Lin Yuan's side for the longest time. The other Medusa demons had only been in this territory for a few days and had just seen Lin Yuan for the first time. However, it was undeniable that in the dangerous swamp, this territory was the paradise in the hearts of all the Medusa demons. They didn't have to worry about food, and there was a group of humanoid creatures that could build beautiful buildings. There were also two growing apostles in the territory. One of the apostles was even willing to accept them as believers and even favor them. But now, this paradise, which had just given the Medusa snake demons a sense of belonging, was about to be destroyed. The Medusa demons looked at Lin Yuan with hope in their eyes, silently begging him to take them with him when he fled. After pondering for a moment, Lin Yuan's expression suddenly became firm. Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned the imperial weapon, Lu Yenshan. At this moment, the void shadow demon turned from a shadow into a solid body and stood firmly in front of Lin Yuan. It looked straight in the direction of the power of faith fluctuations in the distance. The power of faith fluctuations in the distance caused the void shadow demon's expression to turn cold. The void shadow demon did not persuade Lin Yuan to leave and just truthfully told him what it sensed. Lord Ruler, it's too far away. I can't feel how strong the power of faith fluctuations are. But one of the apostles' power of faith can reach at least a lower average level. The void shadow demon's words let Lin Yuan know that at least one of the apostles rushing over could activate the Origin Saint body. The Slaughter Sky Butterfly had just said that the energy fluctuations coming from afar exceeded the scope of creation breeds. It said that the apostles coming from the Ming dynasty were at least class 12. Given Morbius' current grade, it was unable to use true data to see through life forms above the creation breed. After understanding this, Lin Yuan was not prepared to use true data to investigate the apostles that were rushing over. Previously, when he had probed the Moon Empress's carriage pulling Faye in the Radiant Moon Palace, Lin Yuan knew that when he used Morbius true data to detect targets beyond the detection range, the target could clearly sense his probing. After confirming the strength of the apostles rushing over, Lin Yuan had no intention of escaping. Lin Yuan had just laid down his foundation in this swamp world. With the three apostles working together, only then was there a perfect closed loop of development. If he retreated now, it would be equivalent to giving up all of his previous efforts. If they left at the same time, Endless Summer's sacred source life form, Arakoa Orchid, would be destroyed. Endless Summer wasn't in the swamp world right now, and even if Endless Summer was in the swamp world, it would be impossible for Endless Summer to survive. It was impossible to recover Arakawa Orchid Sprout in a short time. If they chose to evacuate with the life forms in the swamp world, the treasure cave golden toad's skin and stomach pouch would not be enough. In the end, it was destined to expose the existence of the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Unless Lin Yuan could give up on the 35 spirit craftsmen who had immediately responded to him after hearing that he wanted to avoid them. He reached out to touch the extreme token on his chest, and his heart sank. Lin Yuan said to the Slaughter Sky Butterfly, "Sky Killer Butterfly, take these Medusa demons, Sha Teng, Wendy, and the White Sin Swamp Crocodile and run deeper into the territory. Voidless Shadow Fiend, stay here with me." Just as he finished speaking, he realized that the Class 2 White Sin armored crocodile that had been at his feet had suddenly vanished. Chapter 11:18. This made Lin Yuan feel a little strange. Where would the White Sin Swamp Crocodile go? However, the situation was urgent, and Lin Yuan couldn't care less. When the Heaven Slaughtering Butterfly heard Lin Yuan's arrangement, it immediately wanted to say something. However, when it saw Lin Yuan's resolute eyes, it could only grit its teeth and fling its waist-length blue hair. It listened to Lin Yuan's arrangement and led the creatures in the direction of the territory's interior. Lin Yuan, the Void Shadow Demon, and the Lu Yenshan were left alone, waiting for the arrival of the uninvited guest. As the energy collided, a shrill female howl came from the horizon. "Bai Yen, are you really going to kill him? In the Great Eastern Lake, only the two of us can fight against that old thing, Ghost Ing. The apostle that Ghost Ing is relying on has the Lord Ruler's protection." After the howl, the female voice didn't finish speaking. She let out another shrill howl. "Bai Yen, you actually hurt my tail. Even if I use the sacred body of origins and the holy art, don't think you'll have it easy." At that moment, Lin Yuan could already see a dark purple giant scorpion galloping over from the horizon. The giant scorpion's armor was like a dark purple crystal. However, one of the 3 scorpion tails on its back was already broken, and it looked very pathetic. Behind the giant purple scorpion, there was a figure that was chasing it relentlessly, which startled Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan saw a giant white crocodile with a body length of at least 3,000 meters stirring the clouds in the horizon. The giant white crocodile was preparing a holy breath with a cold glint in its mouth. Lin Yuan couldn't help but swallow his saliva. This giant white crocodile and the Class 2 white Sin swamp crocodile were simply carved from the same mold. From the conversation between the giant white crocodile and the giant purple scorpion, this giant white crocodile had lost its son. This giant white crocodile's son wouldn't be a Class 2 white Sin armored crocodile, right? If it really was a Class 2 white Sin armored crocodile, then it would be fun. Lin Yuan couldn't imagine how the giant white crocodile would feel if it found out that he had captured its son and transformed it into an apostle. Was it because he couldn't restrain his anger and attacked him, or was he blaming him for capturing his son? Or would it express gratitude to him for promoting its son to an apostle at Class 2? In any case, the fact that he had transformed the Grade 2 white Sin swamp crocodile into an apostle could no longer be concealed. Lin Yuan did not know where the Class 2 white Sin swamp crocodile, which had transformed into an apostle, had gone. However, the white Sin swamp crocodile was bound to appear soon. When the gigantic white crocodile saw the Grade 2 white Sin swamp crocodile, it would expose its ability to transform dimensional creatures into apostles. If this type of ability was known by a powerful apostle, it was hard to guess what this apostle would do to him. Lin Yuan wasn't sure if the giant white crocodile would recognize him as its ruler like the Void Shadow Demon. If that was the case, then things would be much easier to handle. Lin Yuan had asked the Void Shadow Fiend about sovereigns before. However, most of the Void Shadow Fiend's understanding of sovereigns came from hearsay. Thus, the Void Shadow Devil was unable to give Lin Yuan a good feedback. However, based on the Void Shadow Demon's description of the ruler, Lin Yuan roughly understood the ruler's life grade in the dimensional world. The dimensional creatures of the dimensional world took pride in becoming an apostle's believer, while the apostles took pride in receiving the ruler's favor. It was clear that rulers were a great level higher than apostles. However, knowing the ruler's life grade did not help Lin Yuan in disguising himself as a ruler. This was because Lin Yuan simply didn't know what he needed to do to make himself look more like a ruler. At that moment, the swamp water moss-aged voice suddenly came from under Lin Yuan's feet. "My lord, the drinking venom snake vulture that attacked your territory previously is a believer of this stinky scorpion in front. This stinky scorpion occupies a large area in the northwest of the Great Eastern Swamp and is known as the Dark Scorpion Apostle." Lin Yuan's eyes lit up when he heard the swamp water moss words. It couldn't be better to be able to understand the enemy's information at this time. Lin Yuan immediately asked the swamp water moss, "Then do you know what level this Dark Scorpion Apostle's power of faith has reached?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, the swamp water moss replied rather fearfully. As early as 2 years ago, this stinky scorpion's power of faith had already reached a lower than average level. The strength of an apostle's power of faith is the foundation of controlling a territory. In order to make the life forms in the territory more convinced, the apostles will often publicize the strength of their power of faith. Originally, the swamp water moss wholeheartedly wanted to become a believer of the Dark Scorpion Apostle, but the Dark Scorpion Apostle looked down on the swamp water moss, an inferior plant that could be seen everywhere in the swamp. Now, the swamp water moss had become Wendy's favored believer, and its body was marked with Wendy's triflower snake pupil totem. Naturally, it no longer had to look forward to becoming a believer of the Dark Scorpion Apostle. Thus, the swamp water moss no longer had the reverence it previously had for the Dark Scorpion Apostle. Instead, it had more resentment toward the Dark Scorpion Apostle. The swamp water moss had long spread its body all over the territory, and everything in the territory naturally couldn't escape its perception. The swamp water moss had personally seen Lin Yuan transform the Class 2 white Sin swamp crocodile into an apostle. The dimensional life form beside Lin Yuan, which was incompatible with the swamp world's aura, had also personally called Lin Yuan a Lord Ruler. The combination of these two matters deeply shocked the swamp water moss. The swamp water moss had previously been puzzled as to why the two apostles, Wendy and Shiteng, would be so loyal to Lin Yuan, who didn't even reveal their auras. Now, all the puzzlement in the swamp water moss heart was easily resolved by the address, Lord Ruler. It turned out that Lin Yuan was a ruler who had stepped into the rebirth realm. When it thought of this, the swamp water moss that covered the entire territory couldn't help but tremble slightly. The trembling contained humility, reverence, joy, and worship. To be able to follow by the side of a ruler was an honor that the swamp water moss didn't even dare to imagine. This kind of honor was something that the vast majority of apostles didn't have. All apostles who enjoyed this kind of honor had an extraordinary status in the apostle community. The ghost firefly apostle wasn't the strongest in the Great Eastern Lakes territory. However, the ghost firefly apostle in the Great Eastern Lake always had the most authority. One of the reasons was because the ghost firefly apostle had a relationship with an apostle who was favored by a ruler. This kind of indirect relationship allowed the ghost firefly apostle to use a chicken feather as a token of authority and act like a tyrant in the Great Eastern Lake. The crisis before them had arrived, but the swamp water moss, who was certain of Lin Yuan's identity as a ruler, didn't panic at all. A ruler could use the power of faith to transform into a ruler's body that was filled with the power of faith. The ruler's body was the best proof of a ruler's identity. As long as Lin Yuan displayed the ruler's body that could prove his identity as a ruler, he didn't need to do anything else. Those apostles who weren't favored by a ruler would all fight to kneel at Lin Yuan's feet without exception. They hoped that Lin Yuan could look after them and bestow them with the ruler's treasure. Chapter 11:19. Zheng Kaiyuan's face, which was originally full of arrogance, was immediately filled with anger. Miao Ji flipped her hair and got into a fighting stance. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan snorted lightly. An old woman flirting with a young man. This Zheng family is really interesting. When he had first seen the Zheng family members waiting at the entrance of the extreme battle arena, Lin Yuan had thought that they were showing respect. They were waiting for Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan to arrive. However, when Lin Yuan saw Zheng Kaiyuan's expression change and was about to rush over, Zheng Kaiyuan's expression changed. Lin Yuan knew that the Zheng family wasn't waiting for Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, but for him. If the Zheng family was really waiting here for Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, the two emperor-level experts, they would all be killed. That way, Zheng Kaiyuan wouldn't put on a posture of finding fault with him after seeing him. Lin Yuan didn't intend to pay attention to the Zheng family, but when he got close to them, the woman beside Zheng Kaiyuan pulled Zheng Kaiyuan and took the initiative to block their path towards the polar arena. Lin Yuan saw that this woman's facial features were similar to Zheng Kaiyuan's. This woman should be Zheng Kaiyuan's mother, Miao Ji. Before Lin Yuan could ask Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan to make way, Miao Ji had already spoken. "Which one of you knocked my son's teeth out? When the blood oath extreme battle starts later, I'll show you." As soon as Miao Ji said that, Lu Jie had already activated his spiritual power. He was prepared to attack Zheng Kaiyuan and Miao Ji, who were in front of Lin Yuan. There was a blood feud between the Zheng family and Sky City to begin with, and now the Zheng family was openly provoking them. According to the rules of the extreme arena, it was inconvenient to kill Zheng Kaiyuan and Miao Ji before the blood oath extreme battle began. However, Zheng Kaiyuan and Miao Ji had to pay a painful price. Zheng Kaiyuan and Miao Ji knew that the road to Sky City was not so easy to block. Just as he was about to make a move, he felt Lin Yuan's hand on his wrist. Upon seeing that Lin Yuan had stopped him, Lu Jie stopped circulating his spiritual power. Lu Jie's movement of channeling spiritual power also made Sun Ningxiang, who was beside Lin Yuan, look at him. As a result, Sun Ningxiang immediately revealed a bewildered expression. Sun Ningxiang had been in contact with Lu Jie many times. It was just that Lu Jie had been wearing the Spirit Guard's standard mask the last few times he had met him. Since Sun Ningxiang couldn't see Lu Jie's face behind the mask, all she could remember was his temperament. Now that Lu Jie was wearing the identity mask of Sky City, his temperament completely overlapped with Sun Ningxiang's impression of the young palace lord of Yeang Palace. It could be said that their temperaments were carved from the same mold. Sun Ningxiang couldn't help but make a bold guess in her heart. Could the person circulating spiritual power beside Lin Yuan be the young palace lord of Yang Palace, Lu Jie? Moreover, Sun Ningxiang felt that her conjecture was most likely correct. At that time, when someone had spoken rudely to Lin Yuan in the Yang Palace, Lu Jie had also stood up like this. Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan also noticed Lu Jie's action of circulating his spiritual power. Upon seeing Lin Yuan stop Lu Jie, Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan subconsciously thought that he was afraid. Lin Yuan turned his head and said faintly, "That's right. There are so many people from the Zheng clan standing there. I guess the clan leader of the Zheng clan is here too? I didn't expect that the one qualified to speak in the Zheng clan's blood oath arena would be a Miao family member from the Beast Creation Garden." Lin Yuan's words made the faces of the Zheng clan members darken. Zheng Ji looked at Miao Ji with obvious disgust. Lin Yuan's words could be said to have pierced Zheng Ji's heart. Upon seeing the Zheng clan members' faces darken, Lin Yuan continued to speak. "The pole arena has its rules. Now, the two of you are blocking my way. I didn't kill you immediately because I didn't want to break the rules of the pole arena. Otherwise, the two of you would be dead now. However, the pole arena's rules also state that when someone is provoked and given a warning, the warned party will continue the provocation. The provoked party is free to retaliate as long as they don't kill the other party. Now, I'm giving you a warning. If you don't retreat now, you won't be able to retreat even if you want to." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's threat, Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan, who had come forward to cause trouble, naturally refused to retreat. Thus, Miao Ji looked at Zheng Ji, who was standing at the side with a sullen face. If there really was a conflict, only Zheng Ji could guarantee her and Zheng Kaiyuan's safety. At that moment, Miao Ji could not help but regret listening to Zheng Ji's opinion and not choosing to participate in the blood oath arena with the Miao family. If she were with the Miao family now, she would not feel perturbed after being threatened. Upon seeing Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan's pleading eyes, Zheng Ji had no choice but to channel his spiritual energy. While Zheng Ji was channeling his spiritual energy, a short and fat humanoid figure appeared in front of him. This short and fat humanoid figure's skin was very dark, but it was surprisingly good-looking. The short and fat humanoid figure's body was covered with a layer of thick brown armor, making it seem full of power. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan immediately used Morbius True Data to investigate the short and fat humanoid figure. He found that this short and fat black humanoid figure was a pinnacle suzerain X/Myth 3 Strength God Dung Beetle. The Strength God Dung Beetle was an insect species famous for its strength. However, in comparison, the Strength God Dung Beetle's strength was definitely not comparable to the slaughter worm of the same grade. In terms of bloodline, the Strength God Dung Beetle's bloodline was much inferior to the slaughter butterfly's bloodline. After looking at this Strength God Dung Beetle's true data, Lin Yuan felt that there was nothing special about it. If there was anything eye-catching, it was the Strength God Dung Beetle's exclusive skill, Strange Rebound, that it had obtained after becoming a myth breed, was worth mentioning. When attacked, as long as the force of the attack was lower than the Strength God Dung Beetle's strength, it would reflect the force back. If one did not know that this exclusive skill was likely to be used in a duel with the Strength God Dung Beetle, it would reflect a wave of force. Many people in the surroundings saw the conflict between Sky City and the Zheng family. The other factions had come to the Extreme Arena to watch the Blood Oath Arena's extreme battle between Sky City and the Zheng family to watch the excitement. Secondly, it was to see if the Zheng family had borrowed the Miao family's strength. Thirdly, it was to explore Sky City's background. This conflict was a good opportunity to spy on Sky City's background. Naturally, no one would want to miss it. Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan looked at the onlookers who had stopped to look at them and made their stance clear. Zheng Ji, who had just summoned the suzerain X-Power God Dung armor, said in a cold tone, "Endless Summer, I said that the two people blocking the way can't retreat even if they want to." Endless Summer smiled lightly when she heard this. "City Lord, I know what to do." End of chapter. Chapter 11:20. At this moment, the giant white crocodile was not in a hurry to use its origin holy body like the dark scorpion apostle. He arrogantly said to the dark scorpion apostle. "Woman, you're really stupid. Since I dared to kill you and decided to kill you, I naturally won't let both of us suffer. Also, you are thinking too much. If you lose, you will only die. I don't know the abilities of your sacred origin body, but that doesn't mean it can hurt me." Hearing the white giant crocodile's increasingly arrogant tone, the aura of the woman who was surrounded by the three-tailed amethyst scorpion suddenly rose another level. Immediately after, the power of faith poured into the three-tailed amethyst scorpion from the hole in the woman's neck like it was free. A layer of purplish-black crystalline light also appeared on the woman's three scorpion tails. As the power of faith was released, the woman poured all the energy in her body into the three scorpion tails. The aura of the three scorpion tails and the three-tailed amethyst scorpion grew denser. Correspondingly, the woman's expression became more and more sluggish, as if she had been singing and dancing for 3 whole nights. The moment the energy in the woman's body was depleted, she swung her 3 scorpion tails at the giant white crocodile. The 3 scorpion tails grabbed at the 3 amethyst scorpions, circling around the woman like hands. The moment the ponytail caught the amethyst scorpion, the 3 ponytails suddenly turned ashen white. The 3-tailed amethyst scorpion's original purple color had also turned black. The 3-tailed amethyst scorpion, which had turned black, merged together in the air. It formed an illusory black scorpion that was 3 times larger than the original giant redbud scorpion. The ink-colored illusory scorpion shadow that seemed to carry some kind of ability crashed into the giant white crocodile. As soon as the nether scorpion apostle executed the origin's sacred body, the void shadow demon beside Lin Yuan released its aura. The void shadow devil's aura firmly enveloped the surrounding swamp and Lin Yuan's territory. In order to prevent the life forms in Lin Yuan's territory from being affected by the dark scorpion's apostle source holy body's aura, the Void Shadow Demon's strength was displayed without reservation. The Void Shadow Demon's aura naturally attracted the attention of the Dark Scorpion Apostle and the giant white crocodile fighting in the sky. Of course, neither of them paid any attention to the Void Shadow Demon. Although the aura of the Void Shadow Fiend was very different from that of the swamp world, its aura carried a thick smell of sulfur, which was quite strange. However, the Dark Scorpion Apostle and the giant white crocodile, who had reached level 12, clearly did not take the Void Shadow Fiend's strength seriously. Moreover, the Void Shadow Demon wasn't an apostle, not even a believer. This kind of strength was not even able to become a believer. In the dimensional world, it was almost equivalent to failure and tragedy. The giant white crocodile remained arrogant in the face of the Dark Scorpion Apostle's attack, which had drained all of its power of faith and energy. He didn't even have the slightest intention of dodging the giant ink-colored scorpion that was charging towards him. Just as the ink-colored giant scorpion was about to collide with the giant white alligator, the Dark Scorpion Apostle's face revealed a sinister and delighted smile. But before the Dark Scorpion Apostle could smile, his smile froze on his face. The Dark Scorpion Apostle saw the white crocodile, which was at least 3,000 meters long, glowing with a holy light. The amber power of faith caused the giant white crocodile's solid figure to become illusory, just like the giant purple scorpion. When the giant white crocodile's figure dissipated like a shadow, a white-haired, white-eyed, white-robed man appeared in midair. A valiant man with crocodile patterns on his robe appeared in midair. The totem of the giant white crocodile was slightly above his left eye. At this moment, a dark hole had appeared above the white-haired, white-eyed man's left eyebrow. The power of faith in the hole was hidden inside, and didn't release all of it like the Dark Scorpion Apostle did. Seeing the ink-colored giant scorpion in front of him, the white-haired valiant man, who was using the sacred origin body, raised his palm in a confident manner. The totem that had been on the giant white crocodile's body suddenly materialized behind the white-haired valiant man. The giant crocodile's mouth formed from the totem carried an aura that could swallow mountains and rivers. It was as if it could swallow all things in the world into its mouth. As the Dark Scorpion Apostle expected, when the ink-colored giant scorpion touched the white-haired valiant man, his holy art's disintegration ability would quickly cripple the white-haired valiant man's sacred origin body. But who would have thought that the moment the white-haired valiant man's crocodile mouth opened, the ink-colored giant scorpion's shadow in front of the white-haired valiant man's hand was directly pulled into countless strands of ink-colored energy, pouring into the white-haired valiant man's open mouth. He saw his full power attack with the holy art's power become the white-haired valiant man's delicious meal just like that. The dark scorpion apostle couldn't help but shout in shock. Impossible! The sacred origin body's holy art's power is absolute. You can't ignore the power of my sacred origin body's holy art. The white-haired valiant man revealed a disdainful smile when he heard this. This holy art's full of disintegration ability is really not bad, but you stupid thing, have you never thought that my holy art also has an ability that you can't even imagine? After he finished speaking, the white-haired valiant man opened his mouth. A ball of holy white energy wrapped around the ink-colored giant scorpion's shadow that had just been swallowed by the man and fiercely slammed towards the shocked dark scorpion apostle. The white holy energy first hit the dark scorpion apostle's body, blowing up the dark scorpion apostle's apostle origin holy body armor. A portion of the holy energy drilled into the black hole on the dark scorpion apostle's neck. The black hole was like the entrance that the nether scorpion apostle used to connect with heaven and earth. The holy energy exploded within the dark scorpion apostle's body, causing purple blood to spurt out from his pores. The dark scorpion's apostle source holy body's defense was almost completely destroyed by the holy energy. Immediately after, the giant purple scorpion phantom wrapped around the dark scorpion apostle whose defense had been broken. Within the giant purple scorpion phantom, the dark scorpion's apostle origin holy body, which had exhausted all of its strength, quickly melted like snow in the face of the afternoon sun. A moment later, only an amber totem with a three-tailed scorpion remained where the nether scorpion apostle was. Seeing this, Bai Yen waved his hand towards the totem left behind in the world by the dark scorpion apostle with satisfaction. The large amount of faith power within the dark scorpion apostle totem was stripped away by Bai Yen. It fused into the giant crocodile's mouth that was formed by the totem behind Bai Yen. But after devouring the apostle totem that had lower than average faith power, Bai Yan's faith power did not increase much. Apostles plundering each other's totem's faith power should be similar to myth-breed fays plundering each other's world grace. Even if the plundering was successful, the gains would be pitifully small. Immediately after, a scene that caused Lin Yuan's eyes to widen occurred. Lin Yuan saw that the totem that had been stripped of its faith power was actually wrapped in a layer of rainbow light. When he saw the rainbow light formed by the totem, Lin Yuan slapped his thigh. Isn't this what an uncontracted sacred source life form looks like? End of this chapter. Chapter 1121. Previously, Zhou Luo only felt that it was very exciting to participate in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle while ensuring his safety. But when the Blood Oath Extreme Battle was about to begin, Zhou Luo realized that he was merely a king stage expert. As for a king stage expert like him, he had to face an emperor stage expert in the extreme arena and fight it out with him. This made Zhou Luo's heart beat violently. It even made Zhou Luo feel a suffocating sense of nervousness. At that moment, Zhou Luo saw a thin figure wearing Sky City's uniform and mask walk out of Lin Yuan's shadow. At Lin Yuan's signal, the thin figure scuttled into his shadow. Zhou Luo, who had a living person crawling into his shadow, did not feel anything strange at all. This surprised Zhou Luo greatly. Upon seeing Zhou Luo's nervous expression, Lin Yuan spoke. Zhou Luo, his strength has reached the peak of the overlord level. When it's time for the duel, you can do whatever you want. With him around, your safety can be guaranteed. Previously, Lin Yuan had not told Zhou Luo about the Void Shadow Demon's true strength. Now that Lin Yuan had revealed the Void Shadow Demon's true strength, it was undoubtedly a powerful reassurance to Zhou Luo. Zhou Luo no longer had to worry about his safety. Zhou Luo's heart was completely at ease when he heard about the Void Shadow Demon's strength. Zhou Luo thought to himself, the acting skills I learned from Fei Qianxiong can finally be put to use. At that moment, Lin Yuan's lounge suddenly echoed with impassioned drumbeats. Upon hearing this drumbeat, Lin Yuan led everyone out of the lounge that the Polar Arena had specially arranged for Sky City. When Lin Yuan exited the lounge, he saw that the Extreme Arena's spectator stands were surrounded by hundreds of totem pillars. There were many members from various factions seated there. There were also many Star Web reporters among them. More than half of the seats in the arena were filled. On the opposite side of the arena was the Zheng family. At this moment, Sun Ningxiang, who was sitting in the public area, looked at the group of people from the Miao family who had come to the Extreme Arena. At first glance, Sun Ningxiang's brows furrowed tightly. This was because Sun Ningxiang had discovered that the only core members of the Miao family who had come to watch the Blood Oath Extreme Duel were Miao He, Han Tianhe, and Lu Yenshan. The others were the collateral relatives of the Miao family. It was obvious that they had followed Miao He to watch the show. Sun Ningxiang stared at Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, who were both expressionless. Sun Ningxiang was too familiar with these two people. As the left and right arms of the Miao family's patriarch, Miao Zhenshan, neither of them liked to join in on the fun. The more Sun Ningxiang thought about it, the more she felt it was strange that someone who didn't like to join in the fun had appeared in such a lively environment. Suddenly, Sun Ningxiang's pupils shrank. Could it be that Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan were here to help the Zheng family in the Blood Oath battle? Sun Ningxiang forced herself to calm down when she recalled that Lin Yuan had told her that everything was ready. Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple. Even if Sky City lost the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, the Moon Empress would not be able to defeat him. As long as Lin Yuan revealed his identity, the Zheng family wouldn't dare to do anything to him. However, revealing his identity after losing the Blood Oath battle would be a huge stain on his record. He had obtained the Radiant Light Medal and was going to compete for the Radiance Envoy position. This stain would definitely affect Lin Yuan's status as a Radiance Envoy. Sun Ningxiang, who treated Lin Yuan as a friend, naturally didn't want this to happen. Miao He was sitting in the public area and yawning disinterestedly. Miao He, who had planned to have a meal with his friends, was forcibly arranged by his grandfather. Miao He had seen Zheng Kaiyuan's performance in the Miao family, so he was getting more and more annoyed with him, especially when Zheng Kaiyuan had cheated him in front of the Moon Empress disciple. Miao He knew that Zheng Kaiyuan was useful to the Miao family now, so even if he became the Miao family's young master, he couldn't openly suppress Zheng Kaiyuan. Miao He didn't want to be in the same space as Zheng Kaiyuan. He didn't want to see the Zheng family destroy Sky City with the Miao family's help. At that moment, a collateral relative beside Miao He bowed and said, "Young Master He, do you think Zheng Kaiyuan's legs are gone?" "Young Master Crane, do you think Zheng Kaiyuan's legs are gone? Why is he being carried by someone?" Upon hearing that, Miao He immediately became interested and quickly looked in the direction of the Zheng family. With one look, Miao He looked up at the sky in disbelief. Then he looked at Zheng Kaiyuan again. Miao He didn't expect Zheng Kaiyuan's legs to be gone. Upon seeing this scene, Miao He immediately revealed a relieved smile. When he had just arrived, he had heard that the Zheng family had taken the initiative to find trouble with Sky City at the entrance of the Extreme Battle Arena and had a conflict with Sky City. Zheng Kaiyuan's legs couldn't have been broken in the conflict, right? Miao He didn't care about Zheng Kaiyuan's broken legs at all. Anyway, the Miao family wanted Zheng Kaiyuan's relationship with the Moon Empress disciple. It was fine as long as Zheng Kaiyuan could speak. When Zheng Kaiyuan brought him to visit Lord Lin Yuan found out that Zheng Kaiyuan's legs were broken. Would Lord Lin Yuan be willing to maintain a friendship with the short-legged Zheng Kaiyuan? At that time, Miao He could express his goodwill to Lord Lin Yuan and talk to him. Who else in the Miao family would care about Zheng Kaiyuan's life? Thinking about the way his grandfather, Miao Zhenshan, looked at Zheng Kaiyuan, Miao He felt that if Zheng Kaiyuan was really useless. The first person who couldn't tolerate Zheng Kaiyuan was his grandfather, Miao Zhenshan. At that moment, an old man wearing a purple robe walked to the center of the Extreme Battle Arena. When the old man stood still in the center, the entire Extreme Battle Arena was once again filled with impassioned drumbeats. The drumbeats were like thunder, and it made everyone's blood boil. The moment the thunderous drumbeats stopped, the purple-robed old man said loudly, "Time is up. I am Gu Han, the person in charge of the extreme battle arena. I hereby announce the official start of the Blood Oath extreme battle between Sky City and the veteran Zheng family. Members of both factions, stay in your original positions. The 3 experts participating in the Blood Oath extreme battle will now come to me. Gu Han's voice had just sounded, but before Zheng Ji could step forward, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, who were sitting in the public area, circulated their spiritual power and flew up. They landed in front of Gu Han. Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's sudden actions caused the entire extreme battle arena to be in an uproar. As long as the members of the younger generation weren't here to watch the show, most of them would recognize Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan. Before coming here, everyone had guessed that the Miao family would help the Zheng family. Who would have thought that the Miao family would actually send out their 2 veteran Emperor-class experts? 2 veteran Emperor-class experts from the Miao family participating in the battle made everyone present have a question in their minds. Did this Blood Oath extreme battle belong to the Zheng family and Sky City or the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden and Sky City? Chapter 11:22. Han Tianhe's strength might not be enough to represent the Miao family in the Blood Oath extreme fight. However, with Lu Yenshan's special fei, he was qualified to represent the Miao family in the Blood Oath extreme fight. Such an expert was publicly sent to help other factions in the Blood Oath extreme fight. What was the Miao family trying to do? It was no longer a secret that Miao Zhua and Miao Qi had been chased out of the Nix conference. Those factions that were not on good terms with the Miao family were very willing to release this information. Now, even some rising factions that were not presentable had heard of the Miao family's scandal at the Nix conference and were waiting to see the drama. Logically speaking, the Miao family should choose to protect themselves at such a time. However, the Miao family had made such a big move. Putting everything else aside, just the fact that the Miao family had sent 2 Emperor-class experts to help the Zheng family in the Blood Oath extreme fight was too much. Emperor-class experts had obviously exceeded the scope of the veteran faction's martial power. In fact, it was not like there had not been similar situations in the past. Li Yun Avian Can had risen very quickly and had been expanding the flying-type Fey market. The market was only so big, and as Li Yun Avian Can continued to expand the market, it naturally touched the cake of other factions. Not long after Li Yun Avian Can had become a veteran faction that was only one step away from the Pinnacle faction was greatly offended by Li Yun Avian Can's unbridled expansion. This veteran faction that was only one step away from the Pinnacle faction realized that Li Yun Avian Can's top expert strength was not proportional to the faction's development in business. This faction simply chose to have the Blood Oath extreme fight with Li Yun Avian Can and wanted to completely annex Li Yun Avian Can's expanded business after the Blood Oath extreme fight. They would then take another step forward and break through the gap to become a Pinnacle faction. However, that faction that was only one step away from the Pinnacle faction did not expect Li Yun Avian Can to have the support of the Pinnacle faction, Coiling Dragon Valley. At that time, Coiling Dragon Valley had only lent Li Yun Avian Can, a newly promoted Emperor-class expert. In the end, Li Yun Avian Can won the Blood Oath extreme fight with the help of the Emperor-class expert assigned by Coiling Dragon Valley. After this incident, Li Yun Avian Can was saved and annexed the resources of the faction that was only one step away from the Pinnacle faction. This allowed Li Yun Yao Can to charge into the ranks of the top forces in just a few years after becoming a veteran force. However, the act of assigning an Emperor-level powerhouse to help a veteran faction, the Blood Oath battle, had a significant impact on Coiling Dragon Valley's reputation. Until many years later, as the public opinion of other forces continued to ferment, the dark history of the Coiling Dragon Valley was slowly forgotten. However, people would still occasionally bring it up. Among them, the Beast Creation Garden was the one that used this dark history to smear the reputation of the Coiled Dragon Valley the most. But now, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden was many times more overboard than Coiled Dragon Valley. Many top powers that had wavered in their cooperation with the Beast Creation Garden because of the commotion at the Nix conference had sent people over to watch the Blood Oath battle. When they saw Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan standing beside Gu Han, The spectators from the top forces frowned. The Hearthstone Du clan member couldn't help but curse. The table manners of the Miao family's beast creation garden are too unsightly. Was it because the Miao family's beast creation garden had a feud with Sky City because of the cooperation between Sky City and Du Immortal Garden? Or was it because the Miao family coveted the high-class creation master resources of Sky City? If that was the case, the Miao family's beast creation garden could totally initiate the blood oath battle with Sky City. As a top faction, it was a little bad for the Miao family to publicly request for a blood oath battle with the newly established Sky City. However, sending 2 veteran emperor-level experts to use the Zheng family to get rid of Sky City was a little too despicable. Gu Han had already seen the list of members from both sides of the blood oath battle. Therefore, Gu Han wasn't surprised that Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan would help the Zheng family with the blood oath battle. However, when she thought of the people sent by Sky City, Gu Han couldn't help but look at Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan with a playful gaze. Zheng Ji also braced himself and walked to the center of the extreme arena. Zheng Ji wanted to stand beside Gu Han as the Zheng family's representative, but Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan occupied the position in front of him without any intention of giving up their position to Zheng Ji. As the head of the Zheng family, Zheng Ji could only stand behind Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan with a livid expression. On the other side of the extreme arena, Lin Yuan nodded at Zhou Luo and Endless Summer. Zhou Luo and Endless Summer, who were wearing the sky blue cloud attire, walked toward Gu Han's side under Lin Yuan's instructions. Upon seeing that Sky City had only sent 2 people to the center of the extreme arena, the crowd suddenly burst into a frenzy of discussion. Damn, could it be that Sky City's 3rd participant of the Blood Oath duel had deserted? Why are there only 2 people heading to the center of the extreme arena? It's not strange for them to flee. If it were me, I would be afraid too. I'm sure Sky City's city lord is scared out of his wits. He accepted the blood oath battle from a veteran faction, but who would have thought that the enemy would be at the level of a top faction? Have you heard of the Beast Creation Garden's Lu Yenshan? The main Fae, the Ghost Sky Beast, is said to be the strongest spiritual type Fae of the same grade. It is said that the target that the Ghost Sky Beast looks at will fall into endless fear. In fact, under extreme fear, the target will even have the emotion of submitting to the Ghost Sky Beast out of fear. From what I see, Sky City is gone. Damn it. How am I going to snatch the fate letter without Sky City? Goddamn Beast Creation Garden. Goddamn Zheng family. When I go back today, I'm going to write a 500,000-word essay on Star Web to scold the Zheng and Miao families. Endless Summer and Zhou Luo heard the clamor from the audience seats. Endless Summer thought that Zhou Luo would be nervous. Endless Summer immediately wanted to use her aura to cover Zhou Luo and reduce his nervousness. Unexpectedly, Zhou Luo wasn't nervous at all. Instead, he straightened his back and walked forward in high spirits. At that moment, Zhou Luo didn't seem to be just a king-class expert. Zhou Luo, who was walking forward, had the aura of a pinnacle emperor-class expert with every step. Endless Summer turned to look at Zhou Luo's eyes through his mask and realized that he was looking at Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe with eyes full of contempt. It was as though he was looking at 2 ants and trash. As for Zheng Ji, who was standing behind Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe, Zhou Luo didn't even bother with him. Endless Summer suddenly recalled that Zhou Luo had just said to Lin Yuan, "Act well." Endless Summer, who had been staying in the Spirit Heron Chamber of Commerce, suddenly recalled that Zhou Luo had been fooling around with Fei Qianqiong in the middle of the night. Could he have learned his acting skills at that time? Chapter 11:23. Seeing the aura in Zhou Luo's eyes, Endless Summer felt that Zhou Luo's acting skills were much better than Fei Qianqiong's. Gu Han asked when she saw Endless Summer and Zhou Luo walk in front of her. "Is everyone from Sky City here?" Endless Summer did not speak. Since Zhou Luo wanted to show off his acting skills, Zhou Luo would answer the questions of the person in charge of the arena. At this moment, Zhou Luo spoke calmly. That one word was filled with 3 parts coldness, 3 parts cynicism, and 4 parts indifference. Gu Han was stunned for a moment when she heard Zhou Luo's snort. After making sure that Zhou Luo did not continue, Gu Han pouted in pain. She was the person in charge of the arena. Did he have to be so cold to her? Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan had already arrived before Zhou Luo. They saw Zhou Luo's eyes through the mask. They were stunned when they saw Zhou Luo's eyes. They could see deep disdain in Zhou Luo's eyes. This disdain made Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's hearts tremble. They subconsciously circulated the spirit energy in their bodies to sense Zhou Luo's strength. In the end, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan only felt that they had been teased and insulted. Wasn't he just a small king-class expert? Why was he pretending to be powerful here? Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan did not like crowds. They helped the Zheng family with the blood oath duel to carry out Miao Zhinshan's orders. They knew that the Miao family helping the Zheng family with the blood oath duel would cause great damage to the Miao family's reputation. Therefore, they did not want to come to the arena. Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan were both hot-tempered. Lu Yenshan, in particular, was so hot-tempered that he could not even light a fire. The anger that was born from being teased by Zhou Luo immediately turned into a burning rage after Zhou Luo replied with a Lu Yenshan said angrily, "Lady Gu Han, I would like to request to change the blood oath duel's fighting style. The original one-on-one beast cage battle has been changed to a group battle. This way, the battle can end faster." There were two ways to fight in the blood oath duel. Under normal circumstances, it would be a one-on-one beast cage duel. The one-on-one fierce beast cage duel required both sides to send out one expert each. After one expert was killed, another expert would immediately replace him. After killing an enemy expert, the winner could choose whether to continue the battle or send another expert from his faction to compete based on the strength of the new enemy expert. This kind of one-on-one beast cage extreme battle was the tacit way of the blood oath extreme battle. Without any special requests from either side, the blood oath extreme battle would be carried out in a one-on-one beast cage format. However, the blood oath extreme battle still had another way of fighting, which was a group fight. This way, the members of both sides would go up on stage and fight freely. Group battles weren't commonly used, and very few forces would take the initiative to bring it up during the blood oath extreme battle. Firstly, it was because a group fight might cause the phase of the two enemy experts to form a link and enhance each other. Secondly, it was easy to lose health in a group battle. It was not as easy to control as a one-on-one beast cage match. When Gu Han heard Lu Yenshan's request, she turned to look at Zhou Luo and Endless Summer. If the blood oath extreme battle wanted to change the established duel to a group battle, it required both factions' approval. The moment Gu Han turned to look at Endless Summer and Zhou Luo, Zheng Ji, who was standing behind Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan, knew that he had been completely ignored by Gu Han. When Gu Han heard Lu Yenshan's suggestion to change the duel format, she didn't even ask if the Zheng family had agreed to it. The Zheng family's blood oath extreme battle made the Zheng family head seem like an outsider. Endless Summer didn't say anything and decided to let Zhou Luo answer. Zhou Luo snorted and said indifferently as he flung his sleeves, "Our Sky City doesn't care about such insignificant matters. It doesn't matter how we fight as the outcome will be the same anyway. Only the weak will care about the duel format. For the strong, no matter how they fight, it doesn't matter." Before Zhou Luo could finish speaking, Endless Summer heard the sound of grinding teeth coming from the opposite side. Endless Summer looked over and noticed that Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe were looking at Zhou Luo with eyes spewing fire. The sound of teeth grinding came from Lu Yenshan's mouth. Endless Summer thought to herself when she heard the sound of teeth grinding. How angry is Lu Yenshan? But to be honest, Lu Yenshan's teeth are not bad. Most people with bad teeth wouldn't be able to make such a loud noise. Actually, it made sense. Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe were two veteran emperor-class experts and lived like princes in the Miao family. They were fawned upon and flattered everywhere they went. Now that Zhou Luo, who had king-class strength, called them weaklings in such a domineering tone, it would be strange if Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe could take it. Gu Han's eyebrows twitched because Zhou Luo didn't clearly indicate whether he accepted Lu Yenshan's suggestion or not. Change the one-on-one beast cage duel to a group duel. Gu Han asked again helplessly. Does Sky City agree to change the duel format to a group duel? Endless Summer saw that Zhou Luo was about to speak again and hurriedly interrupted. Our Sky City agrees to the group duel format. Endless Summer didn't want to waste any more time here. The reason was simple. Endless Summer felt that 1 or 2 sentences were enough and should know when to stop. Too much wrangling would make Sky City seem frivolous. On the other hand, Endless Summer just looked at the time and found that the TV series she had been watching was going to start in less than an hour. Endless Summer wanted to quickly end the blood oath duel with the Zheng family before the TV series started and then return to the manor to see if the adulterous couple was still together. After receiving Endless Summer's reply, Gu Han waved her hand and said loudly, "The blood oath duel between Sky City and the Miao family, with the Zheng family, will be changed to a group duel. Everyone, use your blood to protect the glory of your forces." After Gu Han said this, the duel officially began. At this moment, many people in the audience had their eyes on Zhou Luo. Almost everyone present thought that Sky City had given up hope by sending 2 experts to the blood oath duel. Zhou Luo's performance just now was also interpreted as a display of Sky City's backbone at the last moment. Many hot-blooded people present couldn't help but be moved by Zhou Luo's actions. There were even some hot-blooded youngsters who suddenly became Zhou Luo's fans. From their elders, these hot-blooded youngsters all knew that Zhou Luo was only a king-class expert. End of this chapter. Chapter 11:24. The younger generation did not expect that when a king-class expert puffed out his chest and burst out with courage and exuberant willpower, he actually dared to go against a veteran emperor-class expert and even look down on him. This was too cool. How could there be such an exceptional man in the world? After confirming that the duel would be the Blood Oath Extreme Duel, Zheng Ji's heart was filled with bitterness. Zheng Ji's main Fei, the power god Dung Beetle, had just been injured and had yet to recover. Moreover, it was very likely that he would be ambushed by Endless Summer during the group fight. If an Emperor-class expert disregarded everything and detonated the nomological world, even if it was in front of 2 veteran Emperor-class experts, Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe, it was not impossible. It was possible to trade 1 for 1. Therefore, Zheng Ji could only retreat as soon as the duel started. He then summoned the injured power god Dung Beetle to protect in front of him. In the eyes of the audience, they only felt that this scene was extremely ironic. Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe were both holding back their anger. They didn't conceal it and summoned their Feis. In an instant, a humongous, vertical carapace the size of a small mountain appeared in front of Han Tianhe. When the humongous, vertical carapace appeared, it would occasionally squirm as though there was a creature hiding in this carapace. It was unknown how many years the humongous carapace had not been taken care of. Just the dust that had accumulated on it actually had many old trees and flowers growing on it. Suddenly, the humongous carapace trembled. Lin Yuan saw a body covered in brownish-red mucus emerge from the humongous carapace. The mucus looked very viscous, and when the mucus on the body pulled against each other, it emitted a sticky and ear-piercing sound. This sticky sound was extremely disgusting to listen to. At the same time, a lava-like world power surged out of the humongous mollusk life form. The vigorous world power rampaged in the extreme battle arena. A wave of heat rose in the extreme battle arena as though there was a volcano that was about to erupt in the middle. A terrifying humanoid life form appeared beside Han Tianhe. This humanoid life form's skin was ash-gray and ghastly. The huge eye sockets had no eyelids, and the entire gray and ferocious pupils were stained with black and red blood. His blood-stained gray eyes made people feel a sense of suffocation and panic at first glance. The humanoid creature also had 5 hands on its body, one of which was grabbing its neck. The hand that was squeezing his neck had shrunk so badly that it looked like an ornament. However, this decorative finger had pierced the skin on his neck. Not only did the strange humanoid creature bleed from its eyes, but even its neck was also gushing with dark red blood. The other 4 arms on the humanoid creature's body were twisted in a strange way, like 4 ribbons hanging from its body. However, these 4 ribbons did not look elegant at all. This was because the movements of the four arms were extremely stiff as they fluttered in the wind, as if the bones in the arms had been replaced with rusted machinery. He didn't know how much black and red blood this humanoid creature had. The blood that flowed out from its eye sockets and neck dyed the entire body of the humanoid creature in an instant. Every drop of black and red blood that dripped from the humanoid creature's body to the ground would set off a black fog. It was as if there was something hidden in the black fog that people were most afraid of so far. The fear seemed to be able to reach the depths of people's minds, allowing them to see the thing that they were most afraid of but didn't dare to face. The moment Lu Yenshan summoned this strange life form, many of the audience members suddenly thought of the most terrifying thing hidden in their hearts. Then, this strange humanoid creature let out a strange laugh. This laughter was like a hen's scream when its neck was being grabbed. Accompanied by the strange laughter, it was as if a world of fear had quietly descended on the pole arena. This feeling of fear caused the weak-willed experts in the spectator stands to scream in agony. Even the strong-willed experts' foreheads were faintly oozing cold sweat. Lin Yuan had the protection of the princess dress and the dark death world, so he wouldn't be affected by the world power emitted by Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's phase. Based on the two types of world powers he sensed, he knew that both Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan had summoned their creation breed phase immediately. With Endless Summer, who had an Emperor-class combat power, summoning an Emperor-class Fei would likely cause unnecessary casualties. Lin Yuan felt the aura emitted by Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's phase. He immediately used Morbius ability, True Data, to carefully examine the phase that Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan had summoned. Fei name: Geocentric Dragon Snail, Fei species, Gastropod/agate Snail, Fei grade, Monarch, 5 out of 10, Fei type, Earth/Fire, Fei quality, 4th calamity of creation. Fei name: Ghost Sky Centipede, Fei species, Toothed Beast/Ancient Beast, Fei grade, Monarch, 6 out of 10, Fei type, Spiritual, Fei quality, 5th calamity of creation. At a glance, Lin Yuan knew that Han Tianhe's main Fei was called the Geocentric Dragon Snail. It was a Fire-Earth dual elemental Fei at class 5 4th calamity of creation. When he saw the name Geocentric Dragon Snail, Lin Yuan raised his brows and revealed a look of understanding. Under normal circumstances, when a Fei reached Myth 2, it would appear in human form. However, the Geocentric Dragon Snail was an anomaly. It wasn't that the Geocentric Dragon Snail didn't have the ability to transform into human form. It was just that Feis like the Geocentric Dragon Snail were extremely lazy and usually slept soundly in its carapace. The extremely lazy Geocentric Dragon Snail felt that transforming into human form was a strenuous task. Unless it had no choice or was commanded by its contractor, the Geocentric Dragon Snail wouldn't even move. Despite being lazy, Han Tianhe's main Fei, the Geocentric Dragon Snail, was very outstanding in terms of abilities and exclusive skills. It was obvious that Han Tianhe had spent a huge amount of resources on this Geocentric Dragon Snail and nurtured it with great care. The exclusive skill, Lava Domain, that the Geocentric Dragon Snail had obtained after becoming a creation seed, could be used with other abilities and exclusive skills. In an instant, it could turn a 1,000-mile radius into a land of boiling lava. In a land of boiling lava, all life forms would be instantly burned into ashes. At the same time, the Geocentric Dragon Snail had the ability to change the terrain. Such an ability could be used as an effective defensive or control method in combat. It could even split the battlefield to a certain extent, and it was considered an ability with strategic significance in a team battle. End of this chapter. Chapter 1125. Of course, even if the Earth Core Dragon Snail used its full strength in the extreme arena, its ability range wouldn't exceed the audience seats. No one knew why the range of an Emperor-class phase ability would be restricted in the arena. It was the same situation in the Radiance Federation's various extreme arenas. Such a situation could ensure the safety of the audience seats, and it was also the mystery of the extreme arena. As compared to Han Tianhe's Earth Core Dragon Snail, Lu Yenshan's Ghost Sky Beast's abilities and exclusive skill combination were more exciting. Lin Yuan had checked Lu Yenshan's character journal and had some doubts about the evaluation of Lu Yenshan's ghost sky beast. He didn't understand why Lu Yenshan's ghost sky beast was known as the strongest spirit-type Fae of the same grade. After seeing the ghost sky beast's true data, Lin Yuan finally understood. It was because the ghost sky beast played with fear to the extreme. It could even use fear to PUA other Faes and control them. At the same time, Lin Yuan also knew why the ghost sky beast had such a terrifying appearance. The ghost sky beast in true data was a fanged beast, which was an ancient beast Fae. Since prehistoric times, dragon beasts had never stopped fighting for supremacy. A beast species Fae with an ancient beast bloodline was as noble as a dragon species Fae with a main dragon species bloodline. In terms of quantity, there were much fewer beast species Faes with ancient beast bloodlines than with dragon species Faes with main dragon species bloodlines. According to the species, the ghost sky beast's current appearance was definitely not its original body. The world cleansing and the calamity of creation would constantly temper the Fae's body. Therefore, when a Fae transformed into a human form, it wouldn't have such a strange appearance. The ghost sky centipede beast had an exclusive skill called timid body, which allowed it to change its body form. After changing its body form, it could enhance the effect of the fear-type spiritual ability. It could also solidify its spiritual energy on the surface of its body to enhance its physical defense. The body of pain might be amazing, but it wasn't outstanding compared to the ghost sky beast's other abilities and exclusive skills. Among them, the ghost sky beast's most noteworthy ability was called throat grip. The ghost sky beast's black-red blood made the target fall into fear and would also curse the target. The fifth hand on the ghost sky beast's body would break its neck every once in a while. When the ghost sky centipede beast's neck is broken by the fifth hand, the cursed target's spiritual world will be crushed. The throat-gripping seal skill relied on mental power. As a spiritual-type Fae, the ghost sky owl beast's spiritual energy was usually higher than Faes that were 1 or 2 grades higher. Therefore, the ghost sky beast could rely on its throat grasp technique to challenge those of a higher rank. At that moment, Lin Yuan was filled with joy. Lin Yuan coveted the Earth Core Dragon's Nail and the Ghost Sky Nightmare Beast. The stronger the geocentric Dragon's Nail and Ghost Sky Centipede were, the happier Lin Yuan would be. In his opinion, be it the geocentric Dragon's Nail or the Ghost Sky Centipede, they would soon become a part of his 2 Emperor-class humanoid weapons. Although the Ghost Sky Owl Beast's spiritual attack that used fear was very powerful, Lin Yuan wasn't worried at all. The void shadow fiends born in the Abyss world had been accompanied by endless slaughter since birth. Putting aside the fact that the void shadow fiend's strength was a few grades higher than the Ghost Sky Centipede Beast and could instantly kill it. Even if the void shadow fiend's heart was tempered in the Abyss world, it would be hard for it to feel fear. The Void Shadow Fiend, which was very indifferent to fear, was very effective against the Ghost Sky Centipede Beast. After summoning the Fae, Han Tianhe flew and landed on the geocentric dragon snail's body. Immediately after, Han Tianhe plucked a fruit from the fruit tree on the geocentric dragon snail's back and took a bite, looking very carefree and satisfied. Han Tianhe looked at Endless Summer and Zhou Luo as though he was looking at 2 dead men. Lu Yenshan looked down at Zhou Luo and said with a cold tone, "You people from Sky City are rather eloquent. It's a pity that in the face of absolute strength, the most powerless thing is to speak." At that moment, everyone's eyes were staring at the geocentric dragon's nail and the ghost sky centipede beast. Most of the audience members were from the rising factions and veteran factions. The rising factions and veteran factions wouldn't even have the qualifications to come into contact with creation breed phase. Many of them were seeing the true appearance of the creation breed phase for the first time today. After a short period of silence, the sound of people taking pictures could be heard from time to time. The Star Web reporters were frantically taking photos of the geocentric dragon's nail and the ghost sky centipede beast. The photos of the geocentric dragon's nail and the ghost sky centipede beast were simply treasures to the Star Web reporters. With the photos of the geocentric dragon's nail and the ghost sky centipede beast, they would be able to earn a huge sum of money in today's press release. As the shutter sounds continued to ring, The audience in the stands suddenly burst into a noisy discussion after they came back to their senses. Fuck, this is a creation breed fae? A creation breed fae was simply too cool. I'm terrified and feeling like I'm about to be burned to ashes. Sky City is completely finished. Who can withstand 2 creation breed faes? I just want to know what kind of explanation the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden will give after this Blood Oath Extreme duel to explain the fact that they helped the Zheng family provide 2 Emperor-class experts. I'm going home today to eat roasted snails and charcoal roasted snails. The idol I just acknowledged is going to die. There were people in the audience who liked Zhou Luo and stood on Sky City's side. Naturally, there were also people who couldn't stand Zhou Luo and Sky City and stood on the Zheng and Miao family's side. The people from Sky City were so arrogant just now, but they were just crazy before they died. What's the use of just talking? I don't believe that the people from Sky City can still boast shamelessly when they see 2 creation breed faes. The person who spoke was an old man who looked over 50 years old. However, as soon as the old man finished speaking, an awkward expression immediately appeared on his face. The old man heard Zhou Luo's voice coming from the extreme duel arena again. You're right. It seems like you're also a reasonable person. Since you're reasonable, you should know that the words of a person with absolute power also have absolute weight. Lu Yenshan didn't expect Zhou Luo to still dare to be stubborn. He immediately ordered, "Nightmare Ghost, start a massacre." When the ghost sky beast heard Lu Yenshan's command, its body immediately emitted a large amount of black-red blood mist. At that moment, everyone saw Zhou Luo raise his finger and point at Lu Yenshan and the ghost sky beast. Then, he pointed at Han Tianhe and the geocentric dragon's nail, who were watching the show from the side. I said, "It's time for you to die." The audience didn't have time to react to Zhou Luo's words. However, Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe's faces instantly turned pale. End of this chapter. Chapter 1127. As Emperor-class experts, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan were able to capture the moving shadows because Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan were both in the spirit return state. They used their strongest defensive means. This caused the shadow to slow down when it split Han Tianhe, Lu Yenshan, the dragon's nail, and the ghost sky beast bodies. Those who were sent by the top factions to watch the battle were all smart people. They already knew that Sky City's 3rd participant of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle had already entered the battlefield, but no one had discovered it. This also explained why Sky City would send a king-class expert to participate in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, which concerned the survival of a faction. Sky City's killer move had actually been prepared long ago. On the surface, the 2 participants of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle were just a foil to the moving shadow. They looked at Han Tianhe, Lu Yenshan, and their contracted dragon's nail and ghost sky beast, who had been split into 2 in a pool of blood. While these members of the top factions were gloating, they were also re-evaluating Sky City's combat power. However, under their scrutiny, they realized that Sky City's combat power could not be accurately estimated. This was because they did not even know what had just attacked. Naturally, they could not clearly determine its strength. It was able to instantly kill 2 of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden's veteran Emperor-class experts. Especially when one of the 2 veteran Emperor-class experts' phase had reached Monarch rank level 5 and 4th Tribulation of Creation. The other was a 5th Disaster of Creation at Monarch level 6. In order to do this, Sky City's 3rd participant had to be at least a peak Emperor-class expert. He might even have seen the power of Immortals. At this moment, the audience had already erupted into a heated discussion. Most of the audience present were not like the Emperor-class experts of the top factions who could see the moving shadow. In the eyes of everyone present, it was Zhou Luo who said, "You all deserve to die." Immediately after, Lu Yenshan, Han Tianhe, and their contracted phase were split into 2. Zhou Luo's words killed 2 emperors. He was like a god. The fans who had just become Zhou Luo's fans cheered on the spot. Oh my god! What is going on? 2 veteran Emperor-class experts from the Beast Creation Garden died with just a word from my idol? I'm not dreaming. What the hell? My heart is weak, and you're showing me this? What kind of divine reversal is this? Didn't they just say that he was a king? How could a king stage expert kill two emperor stage experts? I'm happy. It seems like I can continue to go to Sky City's Star Web private faction territory to queue for the fate letter tomorrow. Awesome. Look at the expression on the Zheng family's patriarch Zhengji's face. His eyeballs are about to pop out. You look like you've drunk 3 cups of oil from Big Sister Hua. Sun Ningxiang and Miao He had different reactions from the rest of the audience. Although Sun Ningxiang was worried, she knew that Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan were not burdened by Lin Yuan's calmness. However, Lin Yuan's means had indeed shocked Sun Ningxiang. On the other hand, Miao He had already picked up his phone with a trembling body and dialed his grandfather Miao Zhenshan's number. As the current young master of the Miao family's beast creation garden, Miao He had to inform his grandfather about Miao Zhenshan's current situation immediately. Even if the Miao family had lost 2 veteran emperor stage experts. Miao He did not dare to imagine how angry and shocked his grandfather would be when he heard that he had lost his right-hand man. At the same time, the purpose of Miao He's call was to ask Miao Zhenshan how to deal with Zheng Kaiyuan and his blood-related aunt, Miao Ji. Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's deaths were ultimately because of Zheng Kaiyuan's request. Zheng Kaiyuan's life was related to whether the Miao family could be connected to the Moon Empress disciple. According to the current development of the situation, when the Zheng family's patriarch, Zheng Ji, was killed in the extreme battle arena, Sky City could immediately decide to kill everyone in the Zheng family. The Miao family had already lost 2 emperor stage experts for Zheng Kaiyuan, so it was necessary to preserve Zheng Kaiyuan's life in such a situation. Otherwise, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's sacrifice would be in vain. Lin Yuan stood with his hands behind his back as he watched everything that was happening in the extreme battle arena. At this moment, Sky City was truly showing itself in front of the other factions. Presumably, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's deaths would make the other factions wary of Sky City. As for Zheng Ji and the other Zheng family members present, Lin Yuan already had plans. Zhou Luo, who was standing in the extreme battle arena, felt that his action of extending his finger was simply too cool. Zhou Luo raised his finger again and spoke in a tone that was 70% arrogant and 30% disdainful. Endless summer, I'll leave the Zheng family's patriarch, Zheng Ji, to you. Upon hearing that, Endless Summer almost burst out laughing. Lin Yuan's order to the Void Shadow Demon had already been completed. How could Zhou Luo have the nerve to command the Void Shadow Demon to fight? Even if Zhou Luo had the nerve, he would definitely not be able to command the Void Shadow Demon. Endless Summer also extended a finger and pointed at Zheng Ji like Zhou Luo had done previously. Shooting Spear of Summer, shoot 3,000 shots. As Endless Summer's voice fell, 3,000 pinkish-purple embroidered ball-shaped flowers instantly appeared in the sky above the extreme battle arena. The 3,000 embroidered ball-shaped flowers instantly scattered into a sky full of flower rain. In the sky full of flower rain, 3,000 pinkish-purple shooting spears shot at Zheng Ji and the power god Dung Beetle. Facing Endless Summer's attack, Zheng Ji did not dodge. Instead, he suddenly looked up at the sky. When he looked up at the sky, Zheng Ji's eyes were filled with dejection and reminiscence. It was unknown when dark clouds had gathered in the sky, but it was raining heavily. Before the rain could land on Zheng Ji's face, Zheng Ji and the power god Dung Beetle were pierced by the 3,000 shooting spears of summer. When the first shooting spear of summer pierced Zheng Ji's body, Zheng Ji suddenly felt that the original Zheng family was rather good. The Zheng family's appearance seemed to have changed since Miao Ji married into the Zheng family and Zheng Kaiyuan was born. The Zheng family that he had guarded for most of his life was gone, just like his life that was disappearing. 3,000 shooting spears of summer stacked together, forming a beautiful flower burial. After the extreme battle manager Gu Han confirmed Zheng Ji's death, he immediately announced, in the Blood Oath extreme battle between Sky City and the Zheng family, Sky City used group combat to eliminate the Zheng family's 3 experts that participated in the Blood Oath extreme battle and obtained victory in the Blood Oath extreme battle. According to the rules of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, Sky City can freely execute everything left behind by the veteran faction, the Zheng family. While speaking, Gu Han's eyes quietly landed on Zhou Luo's shadow. Previously, Gu Han already knew that Sky City had a peak Emperor-level combatant participating in the battle. However, he did not expect it to be an 11th-level Void Shadow Demon that had reached the 8th tribulation of creation stage. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1128. Gu Han lowered her head and looked at the information that Sky City had submitted in her hands speechlessly. The third expert participating in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle only had the word Shadow written in his name. Even a ghost would not be able to guess that it was a Void Shadow Fiend. At the same time, Gu Han could not help but secretly speculate about Sky City. Could it be that the Sky Castle had a relationship with a certain majesty? Class 6 Abyss dimensional rifts could connect to the Abyss world. It was not impossible to control abyssal demons and obtain their allegiance to bring them to the main world. However, the Class 6 Abyss dimensional rift was still in a sealed state, and only 13 holiness could freely enter and exit the Abyss world. This meant that the Class 11-8 Calamity Creation Void Shadow Fiend must have been brought out from the Abyss world by a certain holiness. Guessing was just guessing, but as a smart person, Gu Han would not rashly ask some questions. At the same time, Gu Han thought to himself, the Miao family's beast creation garden has really kicked an iron plate this time. With the death of 2 veteran Emperor-class experts, the Miao family's beast creation garden's Emperor-class experts would be weaker compared to the other top competing factions. The death of 2 veteran Emperor-class experts would greatly reduce the negative discussion of the Miao family sending 2 veteran Emperor-class experts to help the Zheng family in the Blood Oath Extreme Battle with Sky City. However, these negative discussions would ultimately have a considerable impact on the Miao family. Fortunately, Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan were not creation masters, so their deaths would not affect the Miao family's beast creation garden's creation master foundation. From the moment Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan died, Lin Yuan's eyes had been fixed on Miao He's area in the audience seats. When he saw Miao He pick up his cell phone to make a call, the corners of Lin Yuan's mouth curled up. The Blood Oath Extreme Battle with the Zheng family had ended. However, the dispute in the Extreme Battle arena was far from over. Lin Yuan looked at the opposite side of the Extreme Battle arena, who had a look of disbelief on his face. Lin Yuan walked toward Zheng Kaiyuan with the people from Sky City behind him. Every step Lin Yuan took on the ground was equivalent to stepping on the tip of Zheng Kaiyuan's heart. With every step Lin Yuan took, Zheng Kaiyuan would feel that his life was fading away a little faster. Lin Yuan's walking speed was not fast, but he thought to himself as he walked. The Miao family's beast creation garden wasn't far from the polar arena. Given the power of an emperor-level being, he should have reached the polar arena by now. Lin Yuan said to Endless Summer, who was standing beside him. Endless Summer, reward every surviving member of the Zheng family with a shooting spear of summer. Lin Yuan didn't have the slightest intention of showing mercy to the rest of the Zheng family. When Endless Summer heard his words, she immediately waved her hand. Within the curtain of rain, hundreds of purple flower balls appeared out of thin air again and scattered into a rain of petals. One after another, the shooting guns of summer shot through the crowd of people from the Zheng family. As Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan had lost their legs and needed to be carried, Miao Qi and Zheng Kaiyuan were on the left side of the team. Just as the rest of the Zheng family became the undead under the shooting spear of summer and the shooting spear of summer shot towards Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan, a roar suddenly came from mid-air. Don't shoot! Then, a golden barrier appeared in front of Miao Ji and Zheng Kaiyuan. The white-haired Miao Zhinshan stood in mid-air, and a scholarly man who looked to be in his 30s stood beside him. The scholarly man had a scar on his eyebrows, and this scar caused his eyebrows to be split into 2. This caused the scholarly man's face to be tainted with a trace of a bandit's aura. Standing behind Miao Zhinshan and the scholarly man was an old lady, and she was the one who had casually released that barrier. Lin Yuan immediately used true data to check on the old lady. Lin Yuan realized that this old lady wasn't a fae but an S+ spirit chi professional. From the strength of the barrier that the old lady had released, it could easily block endless summer's shooting guns of summer. This meant that this old lady was definitely a veteran emperor-level expert. As for who was stronger between the dead Lu Yenshan and Han Tianhe, it was impossible to tell with just a barrier. When Miao Zhinshan saw Han Tianhe and Lu Yenshan's split bodies, his eyes immediately turned red as though he was crying blood. However, Miao Zhinshan wasn't the only one with such intense emotions. After the scholarly man appeared, Ji Feng, who was shrouded in a black robe, suddenly clenched his fists tightly and pursed his lips. As he had pursed his lips too hard, Ji Feng's teeth had already cut his lips. Fresh blood dripped from the corner of his lips and flowed into the spacious sky-blue cloud robe. Ji Feng desperately restrained his aura and didn't let a trace of it leak out. Lu Jie, who was standing beside Ji Feng, keenly sensed the change and immediately reached out to hold Ji Feng's arm. As a companion, Lu Jie naturally knew about Ji Feng's background. At the same time, Lu Jie also recognized the scholarly man standing beside Miao Zhinshan. This scholarly man was the second elder of the Whale Ocean Trade's Elder Association and one of the 3 bigwigs of the 10,000 Flags Trade. Lu Jie had seen how Lin Yuan had looked at Miao He earlier. He knew that Lin Yuan was doing this to lure out the Miao family's leader. However, when the Miao family's family head, Miao Zhinshan, came, why was the Whale Ocean Trade's second elder standing beside him? Lin Yuan looked at the 3 people in the sky. Before he could give an order, a majestic aura pierced the sky. A monstrous aura emanated from Gu Han's body. Lin Yuan could smell an immortal aura from the aura emanating from Gu Han's body. Gu Han looked up at Miao Zhinshan and the Whale Ocean Trade's second elder in the sky. The immortal aura firmly locked onto the old woman who had just released the golden barrier and said faintly, "Why? Is the Miao family here to cause trouble in the polar arena?" The polar arena has always been tainted with the blood of factions. Miao Zhinshan, as the family head of the Miao family's beast creation garden, you should know this common knowledge, right? At the same time Gu Han released her aura, 12 experts holding totem pillars had unknowingly surrounded the edge of the polar arena. From the moment these experts appeared, they released their aura. The 12 auras tightly covered the sky above the polar arena. Moreover, the auras emitted by the 12 extreme dipper guards carried obvious killing intent. After sensing the aura, Lin Yuan realized that the 12 experts holding totem pillars were actually not weaker than Lu Yenshan. It was said that there were extreme dipper guards who guarded the polar arena's rules. The extreme dipper guards were responsible for maintaining order in the polar arena. They were holding totem pillars that were officially engraved with the factions that had been executed for not complying with the polar arena's rules. Facing the aura emitted by Gu Han and the 12 extreme dipper guards, cold sweat instantly slid down Miao Zhinshan's forehead. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.